This guy is speeding through the snow to meet a legendary hero who solo defeated the monster wave that plunged Earth into chaos. Officer Shim is heading out to visit that very same war hero. As Shim moves through the snowy fields at high speed, he keeps wondering what the legendary hero will actually look like. He expects to meet an 80-year-old geezer who probably looks like he came straight out of the ice. During his journey, Officer Shim suddenly comes across an ostrich-like monster known as the Moss. Despite having a strangely cute head, this creature travels in groups and is classified as an A-ranked disaster. Officer Shim wonders if he might have to fight them. Just as he begins charging power into his fist, he notices the moss ducks becoming aggressive and quickly realizes that the situation will not go in his favor if he tries to. Because of that, Shim immediately starts running as fast as he can, while wondering how an old geezer could possibly survive alone in a monster. Just when he thinks things cannot get any worse, another A-ranked disaster species called the Thunderbird suddenly appears above it. This gigantic, eagle-type monster is powerful enough to completely tear apart a person along with. Shim runs like his life depends on it. Spotting a cabin nearby, he quickly leaps toward the wall and climbs up, hoping to hide inside for a while. However, the moment he jumps up, the Thunderbird suddenly catches him in its claws. For a second, it seems like the poor officer is about to become bird food, but somehow the monsters suddenly change their entire aura and start acting like harmless, friendly birds instead. Shim quickly looks around after hearing what sounds like a human voice. A moment later, he gets dropped safely onto the ground while a man in his mid-20s appears and asks if he is the new administrative officer. Shim stares at the stranger in confusion and wonders how someone wearing nothing but a simple t-shirt is surviving in this freezing. As the moss ducks begin trying to climb over the wall to chase Officer Shim, the cabin owner casually waves his hand once, instantly calming the monsters down. The man then tells the officer that he already informed the administration that there was no need to keep sending officers every single day. Hearing this leaves Shim completely stunned, and he asks the young man if he is actually the hero Kong Ho whom he. Kong Ho looks absolutely nothing like the old man Shim had imagined in his head. The hero, who was supposedly in his 80s, invites the officer inside for something to eat, while Shim still struggles to process the fact that this young-looking man is actually an officer. Shim follows him into the cabin, where he notices how empty the place is. Instead of questioning that, though, he immediately asks Kong Ho about the secret behind his youthful appearance. Kong Ho places a frying pan over the stove and lights it using magic, while asking the officer if he is really that shocked by his appearance. Shim explains that the other heroes who fought alongside him during the war have now become chairmen of massive guilds, and Kong Ho admits that even he has no idea why this happened, but somehow his body simply stopped. Just as Kong Ho raises his hand, a cute Thunderbird chick suddenly drops an egg right into his palm, which could have easily been its future sibling. Our hero casually starts making an omelet, while Shim witnesses Kong Ho's Beastmaster. Apparently this power allows him to completely force monsters into. Seeing monsters casually helping the hero makes Officer Shim recall how this man had once single-handedly stopped an entire monster army from advancing. The officer asks the old hero if he is still raising magical beasts, mentioning how he had always heard stories during the war about Kong Ho fighting side by side with a powerful SS-ranked phantom. Hearing that question makes Kong Ho hesitate slightly, and he tells the officer that he would rather not talk about it. Shim then shifts the conversation to the real reason he came all the. He explains that entirely new monster species have recently started appearing, and the situation is slowly getting out of control, which is exactly why they need Kong Ho's help again. Kong Ho wonders why something like this is suddenly happening, because during the 3 decades since the war ended, nothing unusual like this had ever. He asks for more details, and after Officer Shim explains everything he knows, he finally prepares to. Before going, though, Shim asks the hero why he is still single and continues living alone in a place. Our hero simply replies that he is waiting for someone. When Shim tries asking further questions, Kong Ho instead calls over his pet, an S-rank saber tiger named Mengshi, and tells it to escort the officer back safely. The hero smiles while waving goodbye, and explains that nights become extremely dangerous around this area, which is why he is sending the saber tiger along with him. After that, Kong-ho quietly finishes washing his dishes and feeds his baby eagle and baby frog pets. Just as he steps back outside, the saber tiger has already returned. Seeing Mengchi come back, this quickly makes the hero suspicious, and he immediately asks the beast if it simply dumped the officer some. Mengchi's face instantly fills with tears after hearing his master underestimate him like that. Meanwhile, Officer Shim is completely zoned out. He keeps wondering if everything was just some strange dream, because a gigantic saber tiger had apparently carried him all the way back in its fangs at unbelievable speed. The guard tells Shim not to worry because this happens to almost everyone, and eventually people just... Back with our hero, Kong-ho rides on top of Mengchi and tells the saber tiger that they should visit their usual place once again today. Nearly 50 years have already passed since the day Kong-ho first met his companion Sealwa. In these same, not long after, he reaches the location where a shining blue egg rests quietly beneath. Seeing it makes the hero recall the great battle from 29 years ago, when he had ended up surrounded by an endless wave of monsters. Back then he fought desperately and summoned his trusted companion Sealwa to the battlefield. The white fox had always been his reliable partner, and her glowing silver fur along with her beautiful eyes made her look almost unreal. That was the day Kong-ho fought together with her during the final defense battle. He managed to save the world, but in return he ended up losing Sealwa forever. At that time the hero could not control his emotions at all, and the white fox disappeared while leaving behind only a small crystal. Since then, Kong-ho has remained stuck in the same appearance from back then, and kept waiting all these years, hoping Sealwa would eventually wake up once again. He quietly tells the little earth fairies gathered around him that the new year is about to begin the moment midnight. Right as the clock strikes 12, the egg suddenly starts glowing brightly before cracks slowly spread. Kong-ho then sees a small white fox emerge from inside, and the little creature looks exactly like Sealwa. It was at this very same place 50 years ago that Kong-ho had first met her. He remembers how he had been stationed in Sherwin back then. At the time, he was desperately running away from monsters pouring out of a dungeon while tightly holding the little seal. Even during that hopeless moment, the white fox had stayed beside him as if fate itself had tied them together. Seeing her child awaken at the exact same spot where he first met Sealwa makes Kong-ho relive those old memories. The little white fox quickly jumps onto Kong-ho's shoulder and starts licking his face. Our hero wonders if the tiny fox is greeting him, so he greets the newborn back while gently patting her little head. Since the baby fox looks exactly like her late mother, Kong-ho decides to name her Sealwa. Just then, the hero notices several winged monsters flying across the sky. He activates his beast eye to inspect them properly, and realizes that they are a completely new species called Windbong, even though they're only ranked E-class monsters. Kong-ho has not seen a newly discovered species ever since the Daybreak War, and these creatures clearly match the story Officer Shim had told him earlier. Kong-ho starts wondering if Sealwa's awakening and the sudden appearance of new monsters are somehow connected, or if all of this is simply a strange... Meanwhile, later in the Gangnam district, inside the mercenary tower, an officer panics after spotting a demonic beast sitting on the roof and immediately rushes to report it. The team leader calmly tells the frightened rookie to relax and reminds him about the first paragraph of Emergency Response Manual Article 3, where it clearly states that a young man riding a saber-toothed tiger is a close... He explains that this is considered a VIP visit and orders the rookie to quickly escort their guest inside. The rookie, who clearly never bothered reading the manual before, starts wondering if the story was actually real instead of just some ghost tale made to... Meanwhile, Kong-ho tells Mengchi to stop making such scary expressions and asks the saber tiger to wait outside until he returns. As Kong-ho gets escorted through the building, he finds himself eager to finally meet his old... He quietly wonders if footsteps naturally become heavier as people grow older, and soon enough he finally comes face to face with the Iron Fist King. Just like Kong-ho, Chulb had also been one of the 5 great heroes of the Daybreak, and now he serves as the chairman running the mercenary guild. As the old man sees his old friend, he immediately pulls him into a tight hug and welcomes him with drinks, arguing that they should celebrate properly since both of them have already turned. Kong-ho, However, tells the guy that at their age they should focus more on maintaining a healthy lifestyle instead. Just then, Sayola, who had been sleeping inside our hero's upper clothes, suddenly pops her. The moment Chulb sees the little white fox, he points out that the tiny creature somehow looks very familiar. A second later, he gets completely shocked after realizing that she must have hatched from Sayola's egg. Kong-ho then introduces the newborn fox as Sayola. Seeing her properly, the guildmaster jokingly asks his old friend if he really came all the way here just to show off the baby white fox. After Chulb keeps insisting, both of them finally sit down together for a drink. During their small catch-up, Kong-ho brings up the matter Officer Shim had told him about earlier. After this, the guildmaster admits that he himself has been seriously worried over the issue. He explains that one of their rankers recently disappeared after being sent to investigate the southern conflict. Chulb further explains that the missing awakener was an elite A-rank hunter, and although nobody knows exactly what happened to him yet, the entire situation feels suspicious. He then tells Kong-ho that among the newly appearing monsters, some were carrying demonic energy, which was something only the monsters from the Daybreak era possessed. Apparently, creatures with this kind of power had always been extremely difficult and dangerous to deal with. What scares them the most is the possibility that the infamous Megan might reappear once again. After staying serious for a moment, the old geezer suddenly changes the topic completely and starts bragging about how he is currently ranked 40th in the entire world. However, Chulb soon starts complaining about his rankings dropping lower, while living expenses continue rising higher and higher. He then proudly brings out a magic item and offers it to Kong-ho so they can measure his magical power, while shamelessly flexing once again that his own magic power score has already reached a max. Kong-ho does not want to use the item and quickly makes an excuse, saying that he does not even know how to operate it properly. Chulb, however, keeps forcing the guy and even threatens that he will not give the little white fox her birthday present unless his friend agrees. Our hero does not want Sayola to miss out on the present, so he gives in and follows the instructions from his old friend. He pours his magic power into the bracelet, and the result immediately leaves Chulb stunned, as Kong-ho's combat power turns out to be nearly twice. On top of that, the estimated ranking displayed on the item places him at number 1 in the entire world. Seeing those ridiculous results, the old geezer completely loses it and asks our hero what kind of insane training he has been doing all alone in those snowy. Kong-ho casually admits that he mostly spent his time riding around with Mungchi and doing some farming. The moment he hears about the farming part, the old geezer seriously starts wondering if he should also become a farmer himself. After receiving the gift, Kong-ho later heads toward the dungeon orchard located near his home. The small dungeon earned the name Orchard because it contains special ability fruit trees capable of strengthening demonic. There are also earth fairies along with cute little monsters called Galagas who help the ability trees. Since Kong-ho is known as the Beast King, this dungeon had always been extremely useful. He places the massive fairy stone he received from the old geezer into the ground and buries it inside the orchard. The moment the stone activates, the entire place gets enhanced. The plants begin growing twice as fast, and all the monsters around happily react to the sudden boost. Even the little white fox becomes excited and jumps off Kong-ho's shoulder. The hero then activates his beast eye to check Sayola's status properly. He gets slightly startled after noticing the words subspecies written under her name, and things become even stranger when her special abilities and potential are displayed as questions. This is the very first time in 50 years that his beast eye has ever shown him something it could not properly identify. All of a sudden, Sayola senses something nearby, and her expression immediately turns serious. She quickly rushes toward a certain direction, and Kong-ho instantly follows after her. The hero even starts running beside her, and seeing Sayola move around this energetically makes him feel happy. However, that feeling quickly disappears after Kong-ho arrives at the scene and finds a group of fairies surrounded by monsters who are clearly about to do something horrible. The fairies scream loudly for someone to come and save them. Kong-ho notices that these earth fairies look a little different from the ones he is familiar with, and he starts wondering if the white fox rushed here because Sayola immediately gets ready to attack the monsters, but after seeing her stand against a giant snake monster, the hero lets out a sigh and comments that even for a phantasmal class species, it is still far too early for her to fight an A-ranked monster like the massive snake prepares to attack her. And right before it can get any closer, Kang-ho raises his fingers and activates a unique ability called Predatory Instinct. The moment the skill activates, every monster nearby is forced to see him as the most terrifying predator. He casually grabs the giant snake with one hand and stretches its tongue out while threatening it not to return here again unless it wants to. The Titanova immediately lowers its head in submission. As soon as Kang-ho tells the monsters that they are dismissed, every single creature turns around and runs away at full. The fairies cannot believe that they were actually saved so easily. However, before things can calm down, another monster suddenly appears. It looks like a giant rooster mixed with a reptilian dinosaur. Its entire body carries demonic energy. Kang-ho quickly activates his beast eye and discovers that the creature is a newly appearing species called a raptor, although it is only an F rank. Sayola instantly jumps forward to attack it and starts chasing after the creature as it rushes toward a newly formed gate nearby. The moment Kang-ho notices the gate, he finally realizes why the entire area feels filled with demonic energy. He immediately follows after his white fox and jumps straight into the gate. While moving forward, he starts wondering if there could actually be a mage in somewhere nearby. Just then, Sayola suddenly acquires a new skill called Second Tail, which greatly boosts her growth speed. Kang-ho is left shocked after seeing how absurdly fast Sayola is developing to the point that she has already gained a... Meanwhile, 3 raptors now stand against them, and Sayola looks toward her master, as if she is asking for permission to go and play with them. Kang-ho finds her behavior exactly like her late mother. Back then, he had trained together with Sayola, and both of them had grown stronger side by side. However, what still hurts him is that the same path eventually led to her death, and he does not want to lose Sayola. He quietly sits down so he can properly look at Sayola. Deep inside, he had wanted to raise her peacefully and let her live a calm, normal life. But after seeing how excited she gets for battle and how naturally she enjoys fighting, Kang-ho realizes that stopping her now would simply be his own self. The hero smiles and tells her to quickly form a contract with him. He raises 2 fingers close to her before gently touching her forehead with them, while promising that he will raise her to become the... A glowing bloody light bursts out and a contract ring forms on Kang-ho's hand, proving that the contract has successfully... Since she is still only a baby, Kang-ho tells her that he will share his mana with her and encourages her to play around as much as she wants. Sayola immediately gets excited and rushes toward the raptor. Kang-ho then activates his unique ability that allows him to share senses along with mana and physical. Through the connection, he guides Sayola to stay calm and patient instead of blindly rushing. He makes her wait carefully for the correct opening, and then finally gives her the signal. Sayola instantly leaps onto one of the raptors and bites directly into its neck, taking the creature down, and right after that, she activates another skill called Overpower, which allows her to absorb demonic energy from monsters she defeats and subdues. The moment the demonic energy leaves the creature's body, the monster loses all hostility and returns. Just then, the remaining 2 raptors rush towards Sayola together, but she quickly jumps. She rapidly bites one after another without giving them any chance to... Watching her movements, Kang-ho becomes slightly startled because her battle instincts and movements are far too polished for someone fighting for the first time. Right after the battle ends, Sayola's attack rank rises from double F to E rank. Sayola then happily runs back toward her master as if waiting for... Kang-ho lets out a sigh before telling her that she really did a great job. Kang-ho tells her that they should quickly return back to Earth before the gate closes. He also tells the raptors to get back on their feet, and surprisingly all of them are now friendly after losing their demonic energy. All of them start running and safely exit through the gate before it can fully... Outside, the hero finds the fairies gathered together, bowing deeply and praising him as thanks. They even call him an absolute one. Their sudden worship catches both him and Sayola by surprise. One of the fairies even gives the little one a title, calling her the Silver White Fan, and they start praising her like a cute guardian deity. Hearing that, he steps closer in confusion because he has never heard a fairy speak human words before. He also tells her that their guardian already has a proper name, and is Sayola. The fairy smiles warmly when she hears the little one's lovely name. With a bright smile, she explains that white-fanged wolves are treated as guardians in their homeland. Among them, silver white fangs are given even greater respect and honor. That is not only because of their rare appearance, but also because legends say one such wolf once saved their home from destruction by a Sayola puffs her cheeks in excitement, clearly happy to hear that story. Ever since then, the five-tailed silver fangs have been treated as legends in the fairy's eyes. So for someone to have such a legendary being as a companion, it makes sense they treat him as someone even greater. After that, the fairies start doing a strange idol dance they call Welcome to the Absolute One, which makes him, seeing the crown on her head, he wonders if the fairy who can speak is some kind of royalty. As soon as he says that, the princess messes up her dance. With a hint of regret, she admits the Absolute One guessed correctly. Her name is Johanna, and she is the youngest princess of the Earth Fairy clan. She sadly explains that a dungeon appeared inside her territory, and she fell into it when a tear in space suddenly opened, along with all of. By the time she woke up, she found herself trapped in this strange place. The fairies begin to cry, saying the monsters drove them out of their own home. They are worried their entire clan might lose their homeland. After hearing her out, the Absolute One sums it up bluntly that she is now homeless and starving. Grumbling from hunger, Princess Johanna immediately looks at him with pleading eyes, expecting he will help, being too kind for his own good. He tells her he has a fairy orchard near his home. Our hero invites them to stay there, and Sayola backs him up with a cute little salute. With that, all the fairies start praising their new lord and guardian spirit, which makes him feel way too embarrassed. He quickly asks them to stop, and even wonders if she really is a princess. Normally, princesses don't just kowtow to anyone who helps. At that moment, the fairies suddenly grow a bit uneasy as they notice a large beast charging straight toward. They hesitate at first, but soon they start enjoying themselves when they grab onto its tail like it is some kind of. Our hero asks Mungchi to hold on just a bit longer. The pup looks clearly annoyed, having a bunch of fairies treating a saber tiger like an amusement park attraction. Just then, he feels his cell phone ring inside his pocket. When he checks the message, he sees he got added to a group chat by Chulbai, where all the old party members are celebrating his return. Kongho does not seem bothered that his friend dragged him out of his quiet, snow-filled life. He remembers his friend secretly snapping a cute picture of him playing with Sayola. The cheeky geezer even smiled while sharing in the group, telling him he should keep up with the times. He finds it amusing watching all his old comrades messing around in the group chat. Their habit of flaming each other the moment they meet has not changed. Now they are keyboard warriors instead. The group has 5 members, the same 5 war heroes who went down in history as the. He decides to meet them since it has been a long time, and Sayola could use some friends too. With that decided, he drops a hi in the chat. The scene then shifts to the city, where a massive crowd has gathered to watch the war heroes in action. All the major news outlets are fighting to get a clear shot of the Swordmaster and the Bowmaster. The two suddenly announced they would join the rankings, drawing a crowd larger than anything seen before in the event's history. Ranked 20th in the world, Swordmaster Junwoo stands on top of a cliff, surrounded by a blazing aura and multiple swords. Man looks like Grandpa Zoro after One Piece finally ends. On the other side, Bowmaster Ho Young stands firm, giving off a sharp and focused aura of his own. Out of nowhere, a breathtaking redhead enters the scene. The crowd erupts when they see the flame, Witch Mina, whose flames burn even hotter than her. The flame which clearly does not enjoy this event at all. She gets annoyed watching the two old veterans argue and fight again for no. The Swordmaster loudly declares that this time he will not hold back at all. Meanwhile, Bowmaster Ho Young fires back, swearing he will cripple him for good and make sure he never runs his crusty mouth again. That insult fires up Swordmaster Junwoo, and he draws his blade, now wrapped in crackling. Swordmaster Ho Young does not hold back either and pulls the string on his magical. Watching from the side, the flame witch sighs as she thinks that some things never change. She then announces that their fight will count as a ranking match, and she will act as the. Right as she says that, she notices a flash dropping from the sky above. Flying over the crowd, our boy arrives using his raw magic power like a jetpack, traveling all the way from the snowfield to the city. He lands smoothly behind everyone and blends into the crowd before anyone notices. But the flame witch catches it and calmly tells the two veterans they might want to call it quits for this year's rankings. Swordmaster Junwoo gets triggered, clearly offended by her words. Bowmaster Ho-young also snaps back, saying she must be joking because they cannot back out now. With a sly grin, Mina asks if they can repeat that in front of Kong Ho. The moment they hear that name, both masters freeze on the spot. Right on cue, our boy raises his hand from the crowd and gives them a casual smile. Ho-young jokes that he never expected to see his face again before his own funeral. Meanwhile, Junwoo squints, trying to figure out what the white, fluffy thing sitting on his head. Our hero tells Sayola she will be going shopping with his old friends and asks. The little fluff blushes in excitement, even though she has no idea what shopping really means. The scene then shifts to the Swordmasters Guild, where the next generation trains in swordsmanship. After stepping down as leader of one of the three major guilds, White Knight, Junwoo built his own place. Inside, there's a warehouse packed with medicinal herbs stacked to the brim. Our hero is surprised to see he even has moon salts, which are extremely rare and cost a fortune for each. They act like steroids for magical beasts to grow stronger, which is why Sayola wants to take a bite the moment she smells them. Junwoo remarks that she really resembles Sayola a lot and tells him to take good care of the little. He then asks if he's actually planning to feed her all 20 moonsault. Standing outside, Ho-young jokes that he should hurry up and loot the place before the stingy penny pincher changes his mind. That comment annoys the Swordmaster, who argues that he set those aside for Kong Ho a long time. Our hero thanks his old friend, and the man complains that they should meet more often. He promises that he will. With that said, Ho-young looks at the group with a wide smile and says, it is time for a party to celebrate his return after 15 long years. The table is filled with strong alcohol, laid out forever. Both old veterans challenge our boy to a drinking game after hearing stories about how much he drank with Chul. Seeing that, he realizes they may look older on the outside, but they're still the same knuckleheads he knows and cares about. The next morning at Seoul Bank, the branch manager rushes down to welcome the Beast King after his long absence and personally escorts him to the VIP room. Our hero says he only came to pick up some magic stones. Sayola gets curious about what they are, so he explains they're the currency used when going shopping. The manager tells him he is free to withdraw as many magic stones from the vault as he wants. A local motorcyclist with a sharp look parks right in front of the bank entrance. He watches as a line of employees bow in respect and thank their VIP customer for seeing the staff act so obedient. He decides to check how much money that guy might be carrying. Using his mana scouter, he does not pick up much power from the escort and only spots 2 S-rank stones in the briefcase. The robber feels disappointed, thinking the bank made a big show for someone carrying barely any money. However, his tone quickly changes when he sees our boy casually stuffing S-rank magic stones into his trouser pocket. On top of that, there's also some A-rank and B-rank stones in the other pocket. The man completely loses it when he realizes this guy is carrying over $1 billion worth of cash. He assumes he must be some overpowered S-rank hunter or something like that, but his goggles leave him confused, unable to detect any magic coming from him at all. He watches as this normal-looking guy walks down the sidewalk like nothing is in his eyes. A man without a security team is basically a walking lottery. Stealing from him would be as easy as taking candy from a kid. The thug contacts his boss through the comms and says he has found the opportunity of a lifetime. Meanwhile, our boy casually feeds Siola kebabs, and the thug follows him closely, already knowing where he is headed, since there's only one place people go to exchange magic stones. After informing his boss, he continues tailing our boy on his motorcycle without losing. Later on 12th Street, our hero enters a small, old-fashioned shop. The shop owner recognizes him immediately and wonders how long it has been since the Beast King last. The hunched, half-human, half-cat lady remembers that the saber tiger Mungchi he brought long ago must be massive since the last time That means he came here to raise another magical beast this time. Her interest grows when she notices he has a silver-white fong on his shoulder. The clever lady figures out it is Siola's child. Siola feels threatened by her and prepares to throw paws. He calms the ball of fluff down and explains that she's a subspecies born from Siola. The lady gets excited hearing that since she has never seen a subspecies of such a rare creature in her. With that, she lets him enter the hidden street and wishes him good luck ahead. The two walk into a bustling street filled with shops, all decorated with glowing lights. Ciola gets curious about why everyone looks different, so he explains that many Beast King migrated from another dimension. After that, they created a special place of their own here, the flame which Mina is also one. She still looks young compared to the other war heroes, because magical species like her stay young for most of their life. Then, the other big group that migrated are the famous blacksmith dwarves. One of them, the owner of the big smith weapon company, Smith, is good friends with our hero. The dwarf welcomes him inside, offering to get him anything he could not find elsewhere. The workshop is busy, with dwarves drowning in work from the White Knight and Napa guilds. Even then, he asks Smith to do him a favor, showing the dwarf the device on his wrist. The dwarf immediately recognizes the aura blade and asks if the precious item is dead. Our boy assures him it is not that, but it is going to need some service if it is going to work after 15 years of staying in use. He understands if that is not possible with a shop this busy right now. Smith laughs out loud, stating dwarves never let favors go unreturned and his job has priority over all else. The dwarf orders his men to drop their hammers and move fast to repair Kong Ho's. He is glad to see that the dwarf's cheerful attitude has never changed at all, serving his every movement from a distance. The thugs are shocked when they see him buy all the expensive items. Their boss gets impatient and orders them that they do not have time to wait. They will attack him as soon as he covers some distance from the dwarf workshop. Back at Smith's workshop, the man claims his boys serviced the bracelet well. They even added some improvements that increase its mana capacity and the maximum output it can give. Smith asks if he is interested in testing it out at the range, but the Beast King tells him that will not be necessary. He is confident he will get an opportunity to do that very soon anyway. With that, he says goodbye to the jolly bunch and walks down an empty street alone. Sure enough, the crew tails him from behind and two thieves armed with swords jump him from above. Staying calm, he asks the thugs if this is all the manpower they brought to shake him down today. Grinning wide, their boss questions the seemingly unawakened loser where he gets all that confidence from. When our boy hears them call him unawakened, it all starts to make sense now. He lets the unlucky dirtbag know that mana detection scouters only measure magic power up to a rank. The gang leader confirms that, slightly worried that the guy at their mercy is chill even at gunpoint. He runs a list of all the hunters with power over 100,000 he knows in the country. He is sure Kong Ho is bluffing, because there is no way there isn't a powerful hunter he doesn't. On his orders, the three thieves attack our hero from all sides at once. Meanwhile, our Beast King is thrilled to take his newly upgraded aura blade for a proper test drive, and a magic dagger forms in his hand when he releases it. All of the professional thugs jumping him realize they messed up badly, but it is already too late. The sheer force of his aura smacks them into complete oblivion. Seeing that, their boss starts to panic as it hits him he messed with the wrong guy. His detection device now shows immeasurable magic power, and the only way that is true is if his power is. Our boy extends his aura blade forward, shattering his device and leaving him completely. After that, he pulls out his phone to confirm that the whole crew has a bounty placed on their heads already. He is surprised that the boss is a former high-ranking member from the White Fan Guild. Over the years, the man racked up all kinds of charges, including robbery and multiple murders. The boss knows he cannot fight her way out of this now, and tries to think up an escape plan. So he uses his unique skill as an assassin, which grants him lightning-fast move. He wall jumps out of the alley in the blink of an eye, thinking he will get away safely since he has never failed to escape with this skill before. My guy casually appears next to him, curiously asking why he lives his days as a petty thug when he clearly has the skills to achieve great. Without holding back, he slaps the moron in the face. That sends the boss crashing right back into the alley he just escaped from moments ago. Days from a fall, he is puzzled why a former top 50 ranker like him is getting overwhelmed like that. Deciding it is time to get serious, he draws his dagger and takes a battle stance. As he wonders where his opponent went, our boy appears behind him and sends him flying with another clean punch. He warns the guy it is dangerous to play with weapons and shatters the tiny knife with his aura. Its fragments fly straight at the Raider Gang boss, whose clothes are shredded down scraps. The Beast King approves of the improvements Smith Craftsman made to his mana blade. It's more efficient, making his power output and control even sharper. Even after all that, the boss stands up again, refusing to give. He grows curious why the man who seems like he is from the war generation is still this. After living through the arduous war times, it makes no sense why a veteran would choose to start a life of crime. With a twisted laugh, the raider boss says a world full of peace is. He would die of boredom if he cannot see corpses lying around and blood flowing. Hearing that, our protagonist remembers there were always psychos like him after they got a taste of power. They forgot the value of human life. The present times may appear peaceful on the surface, yet there is no shortage of mad veterans who are addicted to butchering their enemy. At the White Fan Guild, guild leader Lee Hyuk is enjoying a drink with his master. The guild leader mentions that the Beast King is impressive on a completely different level. His master asks if he is saying that because he looks like a wrinkly old man compared to the guy. But the guild leader says he has a surprisingly calm personality, especially for someone who is celebrated as a war hero. His master is amused to hear that, because he knows the other side Kong Ho does not show. He jokes that the real Beast King is a real demon, especially when he gets his hands on a criminal. As they speak, our Beast King offers the raider boss some kindness. He says he is glad to end his life if he finds it so boring to live in peace. His aura-packed punch shatters the boss's jaw in one. Then, he blinks behind the man mid-air and continues to pound his face until it is so battered even a mother would struggle. Soon after that, the sword master receives a call from him. The man is excited, since it is his first time receiving a call from his friend, a video call at that. When he picks up, our boy asks if he recognizes his former executive in the guild, now covered in bruises and broken bones. Showing no sympathy, the guild master angrily yells that he is the dirtbag who has been ruining his guild's name. The White Fang leader calms him down as he starts ranting about tearing the guy apart. Kong Ho says he will deliver the boss and his gang over soon. Then, he makes the raider boss take him to a nearby warehouse where they keep everything they plunder. The man claims there is not much left, because most of it was already stolen by the Phantom. Like Joker from Persona, the Phantom is a mysterious thief who has never been caught and always leaves a black card as a mark of his work. Since he revealed all that, he expects our hero to show some mercy and let him go. He agrees, but a punch to the mana core brutally reveals that it was just making sure he cannot use magic again is his way of showing mercy. At the same time, it is a harsh punishment for someone who would rather die than live an average slice of life. And he tells the lowlife to atone for all the innocent lives he ruined and learn to appreciate the peace. With that, he tells Saola it is time to go home and eat dinner. But before that, they will take a nice thing called a bubble bath together. The scene then shifts back to our boy's cozy home, where the little fox is desperately trying to get away. But she has no strength as Kengo grabs her by the scruff. He says she is exactly like Saola when she was young, and then carries the whining fox to the bathroom and drops a very expensive bath bomb. The tree fruit dissolves into the water and starts infusing it with mana. He then asks Saola if the water feels better now, and the white fox slowly dips her paw inside before immediately. This makes our hero really happy to see her enjoy it, and he goes on to give her a bath. Usually, Beast Clan warriors rub a bit of world tree fruit on their beasts to strengthen. However, Saola is absorbing everything completely, not letting even a single bit of mana escape. The whole tub evaporates quickly, catching Kengo off guard. Obviously, the effect of the whole fruit is far greater than normal, but instead of Saola keeps absorbing more mana, even though the system then reveals that she has obtained a new title, the Guardian of Nature, which lets her absorb energy from the environment. It also states that she can absorb medical ingredients much faster than other species. This makes our boy wonder why she is reacting so well. He pushes the thought aside and picks her up, telling her they should probably get something to eat now. Sometime later, as the snow keeps falling without stopping, he stays busy in the kitchen. Johanna flies in carrying some expensive ingredients along with the others. She realizes he must have been busy collecting all this for the past few. Picking up a giant pan, he nods and says they should start cooking. The fairies help gather the ingredients into the pan. Seeing all the rare items, Johanna asks if a normal kitchen fire will be enough to break through the shells of these ingredients. Kingo then pulls out high-quality mana stones from his pocket and says he will cook with these, which shocks Johanna. She tries to warn him that using this much power will reduce every one of them to ashes. But our hero stays calm as he tosses them inside the fire with a small smile. The mana stones start crackling in a dangerous way, which makes the fairy princess. But just as the fire rises from the stove, he uses his power to control the flames with one hand. At the same time, he tosses the ingredients around in the pan smoothly with his other hand like an experienced chef. The fairy princess is shocked at how easily he is controlling such a huge. The ingredients slowly mix together into one mass, forming a thick, gooey slab before finally turning into a fine. Kingo then tells the fairy princess to go get the moon salt, and she quickly flies off. He then squeezes the juice out of the plant leaves and mixes it into the powder, forming a smooth dough. After that, he rolls them up into perfectly round dumplings and finishes searing them in the extremely hot. Our hero offers the first one to Johanna, but she immediately refuses and says one of those mana-packed bombs would make her burst like. She then looks away and adds that the dumplings were never meant for her anyway. Meanwhile, Ciola is openly drooling and asks if all of that is for her. Our boy bends down and offers only one piece since they are too strong. But the white fox is still happy as she rushes. She gobbles down the dumpling like she has never eaten food in her life before and feels her body. Not being able to control the energy, she suddenly dashes away at full speed while her body. Johanna cannot believe that the white fox has grown to twice her size, and Kingo just smiles and runs after her across the snowy land. Happy to see her develop this. As he runs, he starts thinking about how life would have been if he had given the same care to Ciola. He cuts himself some slack, since back then he did not know much about raising beasts. Our boy always fought without hesitation alongside his companion, but he did not have the means to feed her properly or let her rest enough before the next fight. The thought keeps bothering him that he should have taken better care of Ciola, instead of staying stuck in the past. He chose to use these thoughts as motivation and studied beasts. Returning to the present, he slows down and watches Ciola as she jumps into the air. Kingo makes a promise to himself that he will do everything he can for this white fox, making up for what he could not do for Ciola. Just then, Ciola jumps into his arms, but her increased weight makes both of them fall into the snow. He laughs as it happens, and thinks to himself that he will definitely let her enjoy a life of comfort. The white fox suddenly becomes alert and looks around carefully, and our boy guesses she is trying to find the big old saber cat. Getting back up from the snow, he tells her they will go find Mingchi now. The scene then shifts to a cliff that overlooks a small settlement where the saber tiger lies flat on the ground, breathing heavily as if recalling. A few years ago, a baby saber tiger comes face to face with a human. The old man figures it is just a baby saber tiger, and he notes that the pack has already left the area, thinking it must have been abandoned. He kneels down and tells the baby cat to quickly follow its kind before the humans set up a fence around. Picking up the beast by its neck, he reaches behind his back and pulls out his knife. The old man warns the baby beast that he might have to kill it, but the small cat only wags its tail at it. Both of them suddenly sneeze at the same time, leaving them both standing there completely shocked for a few seconds. Removing his hand from the knife, the old man instead starts searching through his pocket. He pulls out a piece of beef jerky and offers it to the beast. The baby saber tiger happily eats it while the old man says that life has been hard for both of them. The baby cat then licks his nose, which causes the old man's heart to melt. The man then turns to leave and tells the baby beast to take care of itself. The next day, the baby cat opens its eyes and sees that his human savior has returned and immediately jumps into the guy's arm. From that day on, the old man continues taking care of him, and the little guy grows quickly until he becomes large. He decides to name the fur ball Mingchi, and the beast seems pleased with the name. One day, the two sit on a cliff overlooking the settlement. The old man shares that he lost his family to monsters during the Great War, and that he also caught a dangerous disease from another world after wandering. Regardless, he says he could not bring himself to kill the beast, even though Mingchi's kind is his sworn enemy. Instead, he sees a younger version of himself in the saber tiger, someone abandoned by fate and left alone. At that moment, the old man starts coughing heavily, and Mengqi thinks that since the old man fed him when he was weak, he should now do the same. Determined to make the old man better, he runs into the forest to find food. However, the weak old man only watches him leave before collapsing into the snow. Sometime later, the saber tiger returns with a dead rabbit, only to find the old man lying flat on the ground. He rushes to him and tries to get him to wake up. Mengqi then looks toward the human settlement, but remembers the old man's warning that people there would attack him on sight. Even so, after seeing his savior's condition, he decides he has to try anyway and runs down the mountain. As soon as he arrives, alarms begin to sound as a soldier announces that a saber tiger is attacking. People grab their weapons and slowly move toward him while ordering the civilians to evacuate. Mengqi tries to ask for help, but no one can understand his language. Then a soldier throws a spear that hits his body, making him cry out in pain, and they continue attacking while he can only try to avoid them. In the end, the soldiers manage to surround the beast and stab him together while he silently hopes someone will help him. Mengqi falls to the ground, still wishing someone would save his friend. A man steps forward, but the other soldiers assure him that the situation is under control. Mengqi opens his eyes and sees Kong Ho looking at it. Our hero tells the soldiers this is only a stray and that he will handle it himself. The soldiers listen to his words and leave, while he kneels down on the ground and places a hand on Mengqi's head. He realizes that the saber tiger must have been desperate to come here for help. The tiger becomes confused as he feels strength returning to his body. After a while, the two return to the old man, who still has not woken up. Kong Ho places a hand on his chest and realizes it is an endemic disease from the moon, one that causes mana to gather in the heart and slowly weaken the body. He then tells Mengqi that the old man will survive because of what the brave tiger. After removing the mana, the old man slowly opens his eyes and sees his companion right in front. The two hold each other as Mengqi begins to cry aloud. Coming back to the present, our hero walks up. The saber tiger opens his eyes and sees his master waving at him. He stands up, revealing a small shrine behind him. The tiger looks back one last time at the image of the old man who saved him, remembering his final words to follow Kong Ho and live freely. The old man had passed away peacefully 5 years after the incident. Since then, the saber tiger has visited his grave regularly ever. Saola notices drops of water falling from the sky and becomes confused, while the big cat can no longer hold back his emotions, and our boy covers the white fox's head and tells her with a small smile that it has suddenly started raining. All of a sudden, a bee monster appears and crashes to the ground right in front of them. Kong Ho looks up and sees a large swarm approaching them. Realizing this is yet another new species, he then activates his Beast Eye ability, which shows that it is a battle bee species. Individually weak, this monster becomes a threat when it is in a group. Saola immediately thinks of it as food and takes a big bite. Our boy wonders if she can sense that the monster has demonic energy inside it, but the bee is still alive as it prepares its stinger and tries to stab. The white fox does not react at all as she bites through its body while the stinger snaps on Kong. Kong Ho figures the world tree fruit must have pushed the strength of her fur to the limit, so this sharp needle feels like nothing to her. However, the poison in the stinger still makes the battle be dangerous, especially when they move in a... Our boy decides he cannot leave them like this and tells the saber tiger they need to follow them. He feels relieved that there are no civilian houses nearby, but even then, the bees are still a serious problem. Because their hunger never ends, they destroy every living thing they come across, even feeding on the corpses of others. In the worst case, if they run out of food, then they will attack passing travelers without hesitation. That is why they have to be dealt with swiftly. Mengqi starts yowling, and our hero looks ahead to see a portal, wondering if that is where they come from. The portal is red in color, which marks it as a raid-class portal, something that was very hard to clear in his earlier days. However, they have grown much stronger since then, and the saber tiger growl. With that decision made, the group moves forward and enters the portal. Watching the bees fly ahead, Kong Ho realizes they're only trying to protect their home. He activates his predator instinct skill to follow them deeper into the cave. A raid-class cave works like a pocket dimension from another world with a completely different ecosystem compared to normal air. This makes them valuable because rare materials can be found inside. However, the monsters guarding these places are also extremely powerful, seeing larger bees flying out of the hive. Our hero figures they belong to a different species. The new species rushes at them right away, but Kong Ho simply slaps one away like it is nothing. Using beast vision, he identifies them as Hingtao bees, which are far stronger than the... That makes it seem like they are the true guardians of this cave. As the monsters attack, he activates his sensory transfer skill and shares his mana with Mangshi. The saber tiger leaps high into the air, and together they begin cutting through the swarm like a... While our hero slices through them, Ciola gets greedy and tries to bite into one. However, these bees are too large for her tiny mouth and easily escape, which makes her upset. Our boy consoles her. She is still too small to eat. Mangshi then lands on top of the hive, which makes the bees even more aggressive. The monsters launch their stingers together, but Kong Ho senses the attack before it happens. The saber tiger dodges smoothly while he looks ahead and detects a source, deciding to handle it himself. He calls out to Mangshi and jumps off his back. The tiger understands right away and uses his paw to send Kong Ho flying toward the demonic energy. Our hero activates his aura blade and cuts down the remaining bees rush. As he moves forward, he senses a powerful presence ahead and realizes this must be what the bees are. Without waiting, he breaks through the hive wall and lands in style, farming max. The source of the demonic energy is right ahead, and he recognizes it as one of his old enemies, a Megan. The unknown figure calls out to him, acknowledging that a human made it this. Just when it seems like a fight is about to explode, the Megan suddenly breaks down in panic. The guy starts whining about how screwed he is while mumble rapping to himself. With his fangs bared and annoying loud voice, the demon asks if the two can even hear him. Kong Ho and his partner brace themselves for some terrifying message from the mysterious being. Then, the shadowy figure tells them to listen up nice and close. He reveals that they are talking to the great demon Theo, the fourth highest ranked demon in the demon. The situation drops from 100 to 0 real fast when Theo makes a lightning fast move, a move where he falls to his knees at unimaginable. Bro casually explains that he is allergic to fighting and would rather get captured than fight against opponents so strong. The bizarre ending leaves my guy stunned for a second. Though our hero finally lowers his guard and puts away, he quickly notices this demon can actually hold a normal conversation with humans. That's a huge difference from the Megan from the war that behaved like rabid beasts with anger issues. He then brings up the obvious question and asks Theo what exactly he is and how he even ended up in... The white-haired guy confirms he is a real demon in the flesh. He explains that he got dragged here by accident after running into a dungeonification while he tried to save his own skin from balls. Our MC then asks about the giant killer wasps causing chaos, pointing at the especially huge one nearby. He asks if that thing, sweating hard like he saw his name, is in the files. Theo swears that his creatures are not a real danger. They were only scouting the area for him. The white-haired demon casually waves his hand toward the wasp. The big chonker instantly turns it into a stone baby. He explains they are harmless little familiars that live off pollen in their fossil form, making the entire wasp army disappear in one move. One of them becomes a chew toy for Mangshi. Meanwhile, Ciola is not convinced one bit, so the fluff ball launches itself at Theo's leg. She greedily slurps up that sweet demonic energy. Seeing this, Theo completely loses it and starts trying to shake the tiny, but the little gremlin refuses to let go. Our hero quietly clocks the demon while thinking. He figures out Theo himself is not much of a threat. Regardless, the world he came from probably is. Realizing the guy could still be useful for information about this new realm, he decides to seal the newcomer's mana core just to remove any possible danger he might bring later. Bright purple mana flickers around our MC's hand as he grabs the demon by the chest without. Theo reluctantly screams in shock and crashes onto the floor. The poor guy looks up helplessly into our hero's cold eyes while he coldly tells him to quietly follow orders, and he also makes it clear that trying anything stupid will cost him his life. Left trembling and powerless by just a human, Theo reluctantly. The scene shifts outside the newly appeared raid class. Guilds from all over have gathered there with their strongest hunters, all hungry to get their hands on the loot waiting inside. To decide who gets first dibs on raiding the gate, the guilds start holding matches between their top fighters to see who is actually worthy. A tall blonde aura farmer named King absolutely steamrolls the to rub it in. He makes sure to flex every win on social media like a pro clout, while Blondie uploads another post glazing his own easy victories. A massive guy named Broken steps up to challenge him. The poor bastard is already losing patience while waiting for King to finish admiring him. Both fighters charge at each other, fully ready to fold the other guy on the spot. Meanwhile, near the gate itself, our MC arrives with his freshly captured demon tagging along. Broken suddenly gets launched straight toward them by the king, but our boy casually catches every guild member standing around the gate is left staring, and they're stunned to see two complete strangers casually walk out of a raid class gate like they just finished groceries. While the crowd starts bombarding our boy with questions, King quickly loses patience and charges straight at him. The two lock eyes, and Blondie immediately starts. He demands to know who gave them permission to enter the gate. Our boy looks genuinely confused by the guy's yapping, wondering why anyone would need permission for something this dumb. That pisses King off even more. The guy quickly uses his scouter to scan our hero's magic power, but nothing appears. So he assumes Kong Ho is just some random civilian who wandered in by mistake. King instantly blows up and starts barking at him like an angry council president in high. Standing behind him, Theo quietly asks if he is about to erase Bro from existence. Kong Ho glances back with a small grin, and his eyes begin glowing bright blue. As dumb as he can possibly be, he tells Theo he definitely does not plan to do that. The Blondie grabs our MC by the shoulder and keeps yelling at him to leave, calling him unawakened trash that wandered into the wrong. Our boy is just about ready to humble this loudmouth properly when a member of the White Fan Guild suddenly steps in, and the man turns out to be Lee Hyuk, Jun Woo's top student. Using the chance to finally get a proper answer, Kong Ho asks what this whole priority rights system even is, since Blondie clearly was too busy barking to explain. Lee starts breaking the system down for him, but King cuts in halfway and asks how a respected hunter like him happens to know some low-tier nobody like our boy. After thinking for a few seconds, the idiot finally realizes who Kong Ho actually is. Lee suddenly remembers the warning his master gave. If Kong Ho ever smiles like a harmless nice guy, it means somebody is about to get folded into the pavement. Lee starts sweating because our hero is smiling even wider now. On the other hand, King sees this as the perfect chance to take down one of the world's top heroes and steal all the glory for himself. The clown draws his arm back, thinking he is One Punch Man. Blondie tells our boy he should be grateful for handing him such an easy fame farming up. Before the hit can even land, Kong Ho suddenly disappears back into the portal he came from and drags Blondie in with him like a sack of lawn. He throws the idiot straight into the dungeon beyond the gate and tells him that if he wants to clear it so badly, then he is free to enjoy himself. As King crashes into a nearby wall and completely loses it trying to process, our hero calmly explains that he already thinks the whole priority rights system is, but since everyone follows it, he usually ignores it. Still, he decided this one idiot needed a lesson anyway. With that said, the two immediately dash at each other with intense power and mana bursting all. King throws another heavy punch at our boy, while shouting that the era of the first generation awakened. Old dusty fossils like him should step aside. Kong Ho calmly grabs the poor idiot by the face and slams him straight into the rocky ground, sending chunks of stone. He tells the loser a word of advice. If he wants to judge the world based on strength alone, then he should stop acting so cocky himself. From the sidelines, Lee and Theo watch the fight with a mix of shock and horror. The demon realizes that surrendering earlier was probably the smartest decision he has made in a long time after seeing how terrifying. After taking a brutal beating for what feels like forever, Blondie ends up sprawled across the floor, bruised and covered in blood beside. Kong Ho notices that King's movements are way too sloppy for somebody ranked, so he asks who trained him. The guy hesitates before admitting he never had any formal training. His strength mostly came from raw talent alone. Kong Ho then drills a harsh lesson into him, explaining that power without proper skill is useless, and that he goes on to lecture Blondie that needs to find a real master because acting this reckless in actual battles would easily get him. Meanwhile, behind Kong Ho's back, King quietly pulls out his phone and immediately starts posting about his loss. The Clout Chaser tries to spin it into a humbling character development arc. Seeing how hopelessly lacking in self-awareness this guy still is, Kong Ho decides he's going to beat the lesson into him properly. Just then, the gate suddenly lets out a massive sound before disappearing into thin air. Chat instantly loses its mind, and conspiracy theories start spreading everywhere about how a gate that huge could possibly... The scene then cuts to the snowy biome our protagonist calls home. Theo happily enjoys the snow, completely fascinated by the texture of the fluffy stuff not found in the... So our MC starts asking questions about the demon realm. Theo explains that he lost a fight against the first ranked demon, Ball, and somehow he accidentally ended up inside their dimension in the middle of it. The demon also mentions that before he escaped, a huge number of new gates had started opening toward entirely different dimensions. Our hero gets flashbacks to a similar situation back during Daybreak, when new species started appearing out of... He keeps questioning his prisoner about the power level of that dimension. Theo smugly responds that if he really wants to understand his abilities, then he will have to undo the seal first. Seeing he does not have many options, Kong Ho lifts the seal he placed on the demon. Within seconds, Theo prepares to show off his full power. A surge of demonic energy spreads out, and skeletal limbs begin rising from the ground around them. Theo starts chanting, and a dark smile creeps onto his face as an entire army of skeleton demons emerges from beneath. To his shock, Theo turned out to be a necromancer. Laughing loud and proud, Theo reveals that his original power allows him to command the undead. At his will, he can turn almost any dead body into a familiar that will follow his commands without resistance. Seeing the undead skeletal doggos, our boy is caught off guard by how rare his class is. No human in history has awakened a power like necromancy that can bring the dead. Interrupting the demon's peak moment, Seola comes rushing in, acting like it is snack time. His warriors instantly start chasing the little fluff ball, but she brushes them and runs straight past without slowing. Even when he doesn't see her, Theo senses the angel of death coming his way. Out of nowhere, two tiny fangs latch onto his neck, and his freshly released power starts getting sucked like Cheetos dust from it. He yells in frustration that Kong Ho set him up like that. Removing his mana seal was just an excuse to give Seola bonus experience points. Kong Ho does not even try to deny it, and admits straight up he did that on purpose. But then Theo notices something strange he has never seen before. It is not just his mana being drained. There is something else inside forming his magic core. As his demonic energy gets pulled out, it starts getting replaced by pure mana. As Seola keeps absorbing more, her body begins to glow like she's going through a Pokemon. Out of nowhere, a second tail appears next to the first one. Seeing that, our boy is left staring and quickly checks her status. The results show that her stats have improved compared to before. Theo also notices that the little fur ball has an extra tail after attacking. Looking at the two tails, our boy remembers something he heard from the demi-humans before. The legendary silver-white fox was said to possess 5 tails, and that makes him wonder if Seola will keep growing over time and reach that level. Right then, he received a call from Cholbai. His voice sounds serious, like he is dealing with something important right now. He asks for a favor and tells him to investigate the southern zone. One of his guild's strongest rankers, rank 30, codename Hound, disappeared during a mission there. He cannot act himself, since most of his men have already returned from that area. Kong Ho pauses when he hears about the southern zone. He is not too surprised, though, since most of the trouble has been coming from the south lately. The scene cuts to the gateway that separates the southern zone from Taejun. It is explained that the only reason Taejun is even livable, unlike the danger zone right next to it, is because one of the 4 strongest guilds, Levidon, our boy walks up and scans his ID at the gate. A soldier immediately salutes the king and shows respect when he asks them to. The soldier does not hesitate, but he cannot help asking who the weird white hair guy next to him is. Watching his homeboy eat that lollipop like an idiot, our boy says he is just his assistant, so he does not need a separate ID. Hearing that, the soldier lets him through. On the other side, he sees a completely barren city with rusted buildings and roads that are falling apart. Back 30 years ago, our boy managed to secure the northern zone. The south, on the other hand, was not lucky enough to have someone like him. So even now, no one lives here because calamity-level species fight each other, seeing them roam around freely. He starts wondering why there has never been a mission to clear this place. Putting that aside, he hops on a monkey to pick up speed. Theo, meanwhile, just stands there like a clueless idiot, licking his lollipop like it's gamer girl bathwater. When our boy asks what is wrong with him, the demon casually says he is enjoying the atmosphere. Seeing beasts tear each other apart gives him a nice home feeling. Right as he says that, a giant dragon head crashes down next to him and almost makes the grown man squeal. Kong Ho grins and asks if he is still enjoying those nice home vibes now that he is a powerless human. Theo snaps out of it and quickly clings on a monkey's tail. The two of them head deeper into the southern zone to look for hounds. As for why no one ever bothered clearing this area of calamity-level monsters, there are reasons for that. First, the human population has not recovered enough after the calamity to inhabit more space than. Second, the valuable energy inside monster mana stones gets consumed once they fully evolve, which makes them useless. Because of that, it is practically worthless to take back this ruined city. On the way, Theo notices grass and vines spreading all over the place. Monkey starts panting as it gets hotter the deeper. Realizing his snow doggo is not built for this heat, they decide to stop and continue on foot. Right then, they hear a loud scream, making him wonder if someone is actually out here in the middle of nowhere. Then there's a massive explosion in the distance, with green shockwaves of magic spreading out from the blast, adding to the chaos. The threat is so terrifying that all the monsters in the area start running for their lives. Looking toward the source, the two spot a single spiky-haired scion posing over a Our boy is confused to see him, because all of Cholb's guild members were supposed to be gone. But after a moment, Kong Ho realizes he has seen this guy somewhere before. Suddenly, all of them recognize the guy, and his name clicks at the same time. Our boy wonders what the hell he is doing here, and if he is about to throw hands again like last time. But instead of attacking, the guy bows respectfully and greets them. Even Theo is thrown off, pointing out that the dude suddenly learned some man. King directly asks what brings them here. Our boy tells him he has some important business to handle. He fires back he is the one asking questions here, and demands to know what he's doing in the middle of nowhere. Acting all proud, King says he is here to train. Hearing that, our boy is surprised. No sane person would casually walk into a zone crawling with deadly high rank. But then again, after living long enough, he started believing that nothing is impossible in this world. As they move deeper into the area, he asks King what he has observed so far. King explains that the number of new monsters has already increased, and the deeper you go, the worse it. Then he asks how exactly he has been training. King casually says he has been beating down every monster he comes across. To prove it, he throws a punch at some insect creatures and turns them into wasabi. His strategy is to burn through all his mana, let it recover, and repeat the cycle. He is doing all this to create a new ultimate move. When chunks of monster meat splatter on a Theo, he immediately tells the guy to cut it out, saying they already get. Meanwhile, our boy watches and realizes King's training method is, sure, mana works like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But that kind of grind has a hard limit. If you really want to grow stronger, you need to train efficiently. The real reason the Sword Master is on another level is that his methods are insanely effective. As King keeps farming those bug-looking monsters like a budget anime protagonist training arc, our boy realizes something else. Guys like him who are blessed with insane raw talent show up every now and then. But without a proper master to refine that talent, they burn out and disappear. There's only so far someone can go just teaching themselves before they hit a wall. Suddenly, he grabs King's hand, and the Street Fighter character immediately feels his mana draining away. He wonders if he's about to get beaten again, but our boy tells him to relax. It is fine if he wants to create a new ultimate move. The most important thing in combat is balance. He explains that if he loosens his strength, the enemy will try to aim for his weak spot. At that moment, he should calmly take a breath in and strike back by surprise. That should allow him to finish the fight with minimal effort. He makes it clear that the body and mana must move in. Right now, his mana is much stronger than his physical body. With that, King follows his instructions to the T. He feels a bit satisfied watching this. Our protagonist always liked fighters like him since they remind him of his past self. After trying the technique, King realizes that for the first time in his life, someone's advice actually worked. Now he wants to learn more. Without hesitation, he decides to tag along with Kong Ho and his group. Just like that, they gain a new companion and finally arrive at the center of the city. There, a massive dome of demonic energy covers the entire area. For King, the most annoying part is that it completely disables his phone. Our boy studies the barrier and figures this must be the place where the missing rankers Suddenly, Theo points at it and asks what that thing is doing. Kong Ho is confused what the creature is, and Theo explains that it is a cryptid. Cryptids are a species from the demon realm where the main body stays in one place, but its roots spread across. He adds that it releases strange spores that take control of the surroundings. If someone touches them, they turn into mindless, controlled zombies. According to him, this species caused serious trouble back in the demon realm. Hearing that, our boy casually grabs one of the spores to During closer inspection, he realizes it is not a spore, but a larva. That makes him wonder if these things burrow into a person's body and seize control from the inside. Without wasting time, Kong Ho activates his sensory transfer. With boosted leg strength, he launches himself into the air along with Meng Chi. Seeing this, King watches in stunned amazement. Meanwhile, Theo asks the guy if he has something to eat because my boy is starving. Kong Ho and Meng Chi reach the exact spot where the mother's main body is hidden. By now, her roots have fully spread, and every living thing in the city, the entire area has become her territory. So she senses their presence the moment they arrive. Unlike the demon realm, Earth has barely any strong individuals. Because of that, the mother usually finds it amusing when humans show up in front of her. Still, she does not take chances. She immediately activates her emergency protocols, ordering all her puppets to attack Seeing the sheer number of enemies rushing in, our boy quickly realizes what happened to the missing ranker. They were captured and turned into puppets, just like the rest. In the mother's eyes, humans are fascinating. Compared to demons, they are weak and fragile, yet they carry ridiculous. She has already turned 2 humans into her puppets, and at this rate, she believed she could rival even. She looks at Kong Ho and decides he would make a perfect puppet and immediately. But our boy activates his aura blade and tears through the first line of defense, wiping out every enemy in a single stroke. The mother is left stunned. Her entire first line gets deleted like it was never. She starts wondering if she just picked a fight with the wrong monster. Even then, she refuses to back down and decides she will turn him into a puppet no matter what. Next, she activates level 2 security protocol. Stronger monsters rush in, but they get folded just as easily. The second line of defense gets completely erased, and now the mother is genuine. The situation feels way too familiar. She starts thinking back, remembering an enemy who once pushed her to the brink, and wonders if that nightmare has come back. Flashes of her past life hit all at once. Back then, she could not even touch that enemy's subordinates. The only thing she managed was running away with her life. She felt safe after arriving in this world through the dungeon opening, thinking no one could mess with her here. Turns out she was dead wrong. The one who gave her that trauma was Theo, realizing that makes her furious, because she cannot understand why this menace is here again. Meanwhile, that same terrifying demon is off to the side, struggling with the heat like a youth. He shamelessly asks King to carry him, who has the nerve to tell him to hurry up instead of whine. The mother snaps back into focus. Even if she has to face that demon again, she refuses to lose. With the mana stone she obtained, she has already built a massive army in no time. Confident in her power, she activates level 3 security protocols and summons her royal guard. Out of nowhere, a giant dragon appears in front of Kong Ho. Without hesitation, he jumps straight at it and lets himself get swallowed. For a moment, everyone assumes he just threw his life away. The mother thinks she has finally won, but inside the dragon, our boy goes to work. Within seconds, he tears the beast apart from the inside, killing it instantly. Now, the mother starts to panic. Her third line of defense is already gone, wiped out without leaving anything. Worse, she cannot even sense Kong Ho's location anymore. Then, our boy shows up right behind her and says he did not expect a plant-type monster. The mother is shook trying to figure out when he even got there. At the same time, Meng Chi tries to bite the mother like she is pet food, but Kong Ho immediately tells him to stop. The mother freezes, confused, staring at the small thing and wondering what kind of freakish creature it even is. A moment later, King and Theo arrive at the scene. Our boy looks at Theo and asks if this is the one he mentioned. Mother goes stiff the moment she sees Theo, and the demon confirms she is the main body. After taking a closer look, he adds that she feels strangely familiar. Seeing Theo, the mother raises her voice in anger. She realizes he is the one behind all of this. She wonders if this human is also one of his subjects, and decides she will not let history repeat itself. With full resolve, she says she will defeat him no matter the cost. Right after that, she activates the Mana Stone. Theo recognizes it immediately, and warns that she is trying to self-destruct and take everyone with her. Our boy looks at it, and asks if she can actually pull something like that off. Hearing that, the mother pauses. She cannot understand why he is so calm about it. Kong Ho steps forward and says the situation is no longer something. He decides to remove the most dangerous part first. In one move, he strikes and separates the Mana Stone from her. The mother understands right away. Without the Mana Stone, the explosion will not be strong enough to wipe them out. Before she can react, Kong Ho attacks again and cuts her main body away from the roots. She is left wondering what kind of monster she is dealing with. Without hesitation, he kicks her into the sky where she explodes on her own. After everything settles, the area returns to normal. King says he's going to take a picture and post it on Discord. Theo admits that Kong Ho is stronger than he first thought. In the middle of it all, our boy looks at the Mana Stone he just obtained. He notes it is an eternal crystal, holding a strange power tied to the S. Despite what it actually means, Kong Ho says the item's name to Theo, hoping he might recognize it. But judging by the blank factory reset look on that guy's face, guy probably doesn't even remember his own phone password. King, on the other hand, is surprised that he knows it is called an eternal crystal. RMC forgot that only he can see those system windows. Right then, Theo suddenly connects the dots. His buffering is over, and he remembers that he once heard Ball mention hunting something with it. Maybe it was this exact stone. His words immediately grab our boys. Theo explains that Ball is the demon who relentlessly chased him out of his territory in the demon. That monster among monsters is the #1 monarch of the current era. His name alone is enough to send chills down anyone's spine. Hearing that, he is now completely certain this is no ordinary magic. To test it, he pours some of his mana into it. His magic immediately gets sucked out of him with Kirby levels of vacuum power. From that, he figures out the eternal crystal converts mana into power. The effect is ridiculously good. So, it is a disaster waiting to happen if it falls into... If the ruler of the demon realm himself is hunting for it, that is already a massive red flag. On top of that, the description calls it the eternal crystal of the first dimension. That means more of these exist in other dimensions. If someone from another world gets their hands on this kind of power, they might eventually show up on Earth one day. With that in mind, Kong Ho decides to keep the crystal on himself for now and tells Theo it is time to head back. Out of nowhere, King calls him Sensei and shamelessly acts like he is part of the squad now. Like an overexcited golden retriever with zero self-awareness, he declares that he has found his life's purpose. He must train under his strong master. While our boy respects the enthusiasm, he is absolutely not interested in babysitting a walking headache. King takes the rejection like a champ and asks for just one chance. He throws in that his cooking alone makes him worth keeping around, but he still tells him to go find another master, but the stubborn mutt refuses to budge. After peaking way too early in life, he hit a hard skill. No one except Kong Ho has managed to push him past his limit. Sneaky as ever, Theo leans in and whispers that having someone around to cook would actually be pretty nice, since whatever they are eating right now tastes like recycled garbage. Our boy still feels like dragging this guy along would be a pain. King is already a double S class. That's a level nobody reaches at his age unless they were trained by some top-tier master since childhood. The guy's annoyingly bright golden retriever smile starts getting to him. So he asks King if he is ready to follow any condition he sets. Without even blinking, King agrees to do whatever it takes. Bro does him dirty right away. His first challenge is to run all the way back to the city with zero man. Theo just stares, shocked that this lunatic actually is down for something that sounds straight up impossible. But once King's slow processing brain finally catches up to what he just agreed to, even he looks stunned. Meanwhile, Kong Ho casually walks over to Meng Chi and mentions he did it so he expects his disciple to pull it off too. That night at the Mercenary Guild, Chulb finishes informing another family about their son who died in battle. The weight of it clearly bothers him, especially with the growing threats from the demon realm. Not to mention dangers they do not even know about yet. He thanks Kong Ho for handling such a difficult mission. Our boy brushes it off, saying there even since the fairy stone he got earlier was worth it. The Iron Fist King gets emotional. No matter how many times he loses people close to him, it never gets easier. Our boy responds calmly, saying that losing people is not something anyone truly gets used to. A leader like him, who mourns even the lowest ranked members, is probably the reason his guild stands. While Chulb is still grieving, Kong Ho suddenly brings up the new phone on the market. He says someone he knows has been nagging him non-stop to get one. The man looks completely confused, asking how his fluffy beast would even use a phone. Kong Ho facepalms at the brain-dead question and turns to leave. His friend quickly calls out, asking why he's rushing off when they were supposed to grab drinks together. Our protagonist, Rain, checks him, saying he has an urgent meeting with someone who needs that. On his way out, he notices one of the photos on the desk is flipped face down. He picks it up, which surprises the Iron Fist King enough to make him pause. Looking at it, he remembers the day that picture was taken and mumbles that the list of his regrets keeps growing the longer his old self. In the photo, the 5 war heroes stand together long before they became. Behind the younger version of our boy, there is also a tall figure. He is someone whose name never made it into the history books. Not because he was weak, but because he is someone better left unspoken. When Kong Ho quietly says Jun Suk's name, Chobi admits that man is one of his biggest regrets even now. The scene shifts to a nightmare inside Theo's. He finds himself back in the worst storm he ever witnessed in the demon realm. Thunder tears through the sky as his army of his guards who protected his territory are wiped out within minutes. Right in front of him, his giant castle is reduced to flames and smoke, and he can do nothing. Because the one behind it all is a demon who still haunts him. Every part of him trembles at the memory of Baal, who is the most dangerous monarch in the demon realm. In Baal's hand, Theo recalls seeing a perfectly round black magic stone that made him. What made everything worse was a blatant betrayal. They had an agreement not to interfere with each other's affairs, yet Baal attacked anyway. When he demanded an answer, Baal did not bother replying. He simply smirked, like mocking a fool who thought a meaningless promise would protect him. Without hesitation, Baal struck him down, draining his magic until there was barely enough left to keep him alive. As Theo screamed in pain, the demon coldly declared that he would ascend to a higher level. To do that, he needed the magic from Theo's sea wraiths, and Theo should feel honored to become his stepping. At his limit, the memory snaps Theo awake. For a split second, he thinks his mana will be sucked dry, only to realize a tiny demonic fluff ball is doing exactly. Seeing this ridiculous scene, Kong Ho immediately tells Seola to stop licking the filthy demon before his germs rub off on him. Humiliating as this life is, Theo realizes it is far better than seeing. As he gets up, a small bone slips out of his pocket and drops to the floor. Our boy notices it and asks what it is. Theo casually explains that it belongs to the familiar cloak. The look in his eyes gives it away that the creature clearly meant a lot to him. But then Theo flips the whole mood on its head and says that familiar was his daddy. Hearing that, Kong Ho nearly chokes on his coffee. For a second, he just stares at him, trying to process what kind of nonsense he just heard. He shrugs it off, figuring demons must have some weird way of naming their familiar. The next day, Johanna happily flies around the garden and says that things are more peaceful than ever. The battle bees that he brought last time are very helpful in maintaining the orchard. Our hero finally makes his entrance and walks through the flowers while the fairy keeps on talking. Theo stands there looking like a proud father and says that he already knew his babies would turn out this good. Just then, he notices a cute little fur ball rushing toward him and dodges the surprise attack with a smile. However, Ciola only gives him a cold stare and starts chasing him through the garden. While the other two continue watching the scene unfold, Kang Ho remembers something and says that he has something for all of them for doing so much harm. He takes out one of the dumplings he made earlier, which catches the fairy princess by surprise. He reassures her that he lowered the potency by diluting them so that all of them can eat without any. The gift almost brings Johanna to tears, but our boy quickly tells her that dancing is forbidden before she starts another meal. She thanks him for the meal and quickly takes a bite. Just immediately, she feels the energy flow through her body, and her sighs begin. The fairy princess gets worried that the effects are still too strong, and that she might. After the growing ends, our boy pats her on the head, pleasantly surprised that she grew this much so quickly. Meanwhile, Ciola is still busy chasing Theo to get that juicy. Just then, the demon notices a figure coming toward them in the distance. Kang Ho also becomes alert, but then smiles and says that it took the guy 2 days to. Kang is barely holding on to consciousness as he slowly moves forward. Theo praises his persistence, while Ciola finally catches him and sucks up that. The blonde says that he ran all the way here without mana, as he was ordered. As he tries to cross the fence, his foot gets caught on the wood, and he falls face first. He then immediately passes out, while Johanna wonders who this random. Our boy tells her to relax, and introduces the blonde as his disciple. A few hours later, Kang is still sound asleep while our hero is busy scrolling on his phone. He decides to look into the kids since they are going to be staying together. Kang Ho comes across the news that King will be fighting Pyro in a ranked match. That catches his interest, and he remembers that Pyro is from the guild Leviton. Going into the background, Leviton is a very old magic guild known for producing top-tier magic-type awakeners. The leader of that guild is a SSS-Rank awakener named. The man is known for constantly talking trash about the 5 war heroes and never having a good relationship. Since King is also a magic-type awakener, he thinks there's only one person who can help him in this situation. Dialing a number, he says that he has something important to ask. Mina is happy to respond and teases him, asking what the King of Beasts wants from her. Kang Ho gets straight to the point and asks about the relationship between King and Pyro. She replies that it is not good. King was part of the Leviton clan until he left about 16 years ago, and things have been bad since then. Our boy takes a few seconds to think about that information. The next day, King finally wakes up feeling more refreshed than ever. He looks around and realizes that he is in the middle of nowhere. Meanwhile, at the house, Theo finally relaxes next to the campfire and complains that he never knew snoring could be so bad. Sitting nearby, our hero asks the blonde if he is finally awake. He directly asks if King is going to fight Pyro in a match. The kid becomes serious and says that it will be an official ranking match. Kang Ho then asks about his relationship with Leviton and wonders if something went wrong there. King immediately denies doing anything bad, but his voice trails off as he mentions something about his mother. Our boy recalls what Mina told him. She said that Leviton made it so that anyone who tried to recruit King would be treated as an enemy. That is why no one dared to contact him until he reached Class SS. There is also a rumor that King is the illegitimate child of the Leviton guildmaster. Taeyong is known to be a shady person, and in Leviton his family holds all the power. Coming back to the present, our boy tells King that he does not need to say more. He instead says that the match will happen in a month, so they do not have time to waste. The blonde looks confused and asks if Kang Ho is really not going to ask more, but he tells him to leave it for later. Right now, they're going to focus on physically strengthening the body while his mana core is sealed away. King gets excited and does a loud celebration, which leaves our hero confused. The blonde says that he can now handle any type of running exercise. However, he suddenly feels that his legs are very heavy and asks about the weight on his ankles. Kang Ho explains that these are special weights made from heavy stones, with each one weighing around a light 300 kilograms. The blonde is more shocked that this amount is considered light. Our hero tells him that a person with a clear goal will continue to improve every single day if he continues training. He adds that a person facing death can draw out extra energy from their body. That makes King nervous, and he asks what kind of danger he is talking about, but he gets cut off by Mungchi growling at it. Our boy gives the saber tiger permission to chomp on the human the moment he stops, and the chase immediately begins. Our boy is impressed that even though his form is sloppy, the blonde still manages to run instead of slowing down at the start. He thinks to himself that once people learn the truth about Taeyong, they will be completely shocked. In preparation to face him, the special training is now fully in motion. The next day, King asks our hero about the new weights on his chest, arms, and even his legs. He wonders how many kilograms they are since he is sinking into the snow just by standing. Kang Ho simply tells him that knowing the number will only add more mental pressure on him. He then looks at Seola and tells her to get ready as well. The white fur ball gets surprised when her name is called, but then suddenly turns her head away as if she is offended. Our hero wonders what is going on with her. During the fight against Mother Crypt, Seola could not do anything, so now she is desperate for a fight. Because of that, all her built-up frustration made her crave Theo's demonic mana even more. That is why she is now training, using the same gear that Mengchi once used when he was younger. The saber tiger lets out a roar at them, and the two finally start moving while our hero reminds Mengchi to bite them the moment they slow down. He then opens the news article that Iron Fist King sent on his phone. Kaehong keeps talking badly about the 5 heroes every chance he gets, calling them weak failures. Kang Ho tells himself that the guild master should use that energy to take care of his own members instead of doing this. As the sun finally sets, the 2 trainees finally return to the house, barely able to stand from exhaustion. King thanks our hero for the training, while Kang Ho looks at them and says he's impressed by their endurance. The 2 collapse to the ground, while the blonde says that he would be nothing if he didn't have his resilience. King then asks what Theo is doing since he is missing. Our boy replies that he got irritated by the snoring and decided to sleep in the orchard. The 2 then share a drink, and King finally opens up, saying that everyone must be curious about the rumors. Kang Ho tells him that once you reach his age, you learn to treat rumors as half-truths most of the time. King replies that the other half usually ends up being true. He thanks our hero for doing all this for him when no one else ever did, and decides to tell him everything. In the center of Taejun, a massive estate existed under the name Leviton. Songjin was a young boy in that place who would later take the name King. The child opens his eyes in a dusty closet room inside that large mansion. He notices that his mother is not there, but remembers that she always wakes up early to handle her kitchen work. Even though they lived like beggars in that huge mansion, the 2 always smiled whenever they saw each other. One day, Songjin is told to clean the private training grounds. While looking at the training room, he becomes curious as he sees the students struggling with their mana control. Songjin easily manages to control it himself and wonders why the others are having so much trouble. Songjin, a voice speaks from behind him, amused that he awakened on his own, and that too with the same wind element as him. Standing behind him is the guild leader, Taeyong. Our boy immediately disperses the mana and greets him, while the guild master looks at him with a serious look. Another voice calls out from the training room in disbelief that trash like him awakened wind abilities. That boy is Taewong, one of the true sons of the guild master, who would later be known as Pyro. Along with him, 5 other children stand there, all staring at King with clear hatred in their eyes. What Songjin does not realize is that this situation was created on purpose by the guild master to provoke his own children. After that incident, Taewong begins to torture him, but King endures everything because he has a clear goal of becoming stronger. He wants to become a powerful awakened so he can give his mother a better life. Because of that, he tolerates everything that happens to him. However, that also makes it painstakingly clear that there is one thing he cannot tolerate at all. One day, he runs to the courtyard and sees the white-haired boy forcing dirty rice into his mother's mouth while complaining about stones in it. Seeing that happen in front of him, he loses all control and rushes forward to stop. Taewong is too shocked to react as King uses his wind power to send him flying away. This makes Pyro furious, and he summons his fire magic, saying that they should settle this once and for all. He starts insulting King, saying that he is nothing but a mistake. King is too shocked to move, but at that moment his mother runs forward to protect her child and takes the attack herself. After everything the 2 of them endured, he still could not give his mother the life he wanted. In her final moments, she looked at her son and apologized for everything. That is the incident that happened in Leviton 16 years ago. After that, life continued as if nothing had happened, and the truth was buried. King was thrown out of the place where he spent his entire childhood. Coming back to the present, The blonde says that he later realized his mother never wanted any of that to happen. He continues that she was truly a kind person. He continues that Leviton must have spread rumors so no one would take him in. So he went to disputed zones, lived in abandoned buildings, and hunted monsters to survive. In the end, he reached SSS-Rank, and no one bothered him anymore. He repeats that neither he nor his mother did anything to deserve that fate. The blonde continues that he knows no one will believe him, but then passes out before he can say more. However, our boy responds that he believes him because he knows what kind of man Taeyong is. He tells the blonde to rest peacefully because he will not treat him badly or throw him away. When he was younger, King used to hate sleeping alone at night, so he watched videos on television. He remembers seeing a hero in them, a man wearing a yellow tracksuit who always defeated his enemies. No matter what happened, that man always smiled, even when things were not in his favor. Because of that, King also started smiling. Whenever he thought about his mother or when life became difficult, he kept smiling until he became strong. Because of that belief, he reached SSS-Rank on his own and became worthy of the title King. That night, King has a nightmare about his mother's death and wakes up screaming. After catching his breath, he checks his phone and sees that the ranking matches in 3 days. He then sits up, thinking that he had the same wretched dream again. At that moment, he remembers the hero he admired as a child and smiles again. Wearing his weighted vest once more, he steps out of the house and starts running, promising himself that he will keep smiling no matter how hard things get. Kong Ho casually catches up to him and says that his movements have improved compared to before. In comparison, King is more surprised that his master is simply walking and still keeping up with him. Our hero gets serious and says that the ranking match is very close now. Because of that, there is something they must do right away. He guesses that King is still affected by the past incident, and that is why he keeps having nightmares, which makes the blonde shocked. Trauma cannot stay buried forever, since it will always find a way to surface. Coming to a stop, our boy says that no matter how skilled King is, he will lose if he does not overcome his trauma. The guy asks how they're supposed to do that, and Kong Ho gives a cold smile and says they need to beat it out of him. King gets nervous and asks why his master is squaring up all of a sudden. However, our hero reassures him that this method has a guaranteed success rate and prepares to throw a punch. That shocks the blonde even more as he realizes that a powerhouse like Kong Ho must have gone through something similar in his own past. He confirms that this is true and says that this is exactly how he dealt with it. Our boy then tells him to clench his teeth so they do not break and delivers a haymaker that sends him flying. Seeing that he is knocked out, Theo pokes him with a stick and wonders if that was too much. Kong Ho replies that the kid is tough and will wake up in no time, while Theo jokes that his loud snoring already proves the blonde's resilient nature. Our hero then points out that the demon has been using that snoring as an excuse to secretly train his mana. He asks if that is some kind of family technique. That surprises the demon, realizing that he was found out. All this time, Kong Ho refrained from suppressing his mana, and the demon has been training seriously. What makes it more interesting is the method he is using, something that has never been done on Earth before. Theo has been refining his mana repeatedly until only its pure form remains, and this creates a noticeable difference. Our hero jokes that this must be why Ciola always wants to take a bite of that demonic energy, but hearing her name makes Theo alert and cautious. Kong Ho tells him not to worry, since he will not take that mana away after all the effort, but he wants him to teach that method to someone else. Theo says he will consider it and confirms that it is indeed a secret clan technique. The demon then asks if it was during those late-night outings that Kong Ho noticed this, mentioning that he saw him leaving. Our hero confirms it and says he had some business to take care of, then asks if Theo remembers Taejong. The demon immediately recalls it as the place where he first discovered bread. Kong Ho then asks if he sensed anything unusual there, especially demonic energy. However, the demon says he did not notice anything like that. Our boy then recalls his conversation with Mina, who said that the heirs of Leviton have not appeared in public at all for a long time. On top of that, the guild has seen an unusual increase in accidental deaths over the past year. After hearing that report, he checked the area multiple times, but still could not find anything unusual, except for one detail. Taejun stood out. It is already suspicious that someone like him is training students behind closed doors, but the rising number of deaths in the guild makes it worse. There is clearly something happening in Taejun, but he cannot figure out exactly what it is. Meanwhile, King is still unconscious and trapped in the same nightmare. The moment of his mother's death keeps repeating in front of his eyes, while those mocking eyes keep staring at him. Hearing those insults again, he wonders if he is still afraid of that person. At that moment, a crack forms in the scene as our hero breaks through with a punch. He asks King what he is waiting for since he still has more hits to take. That completely shocks King as he realizes that there is something far more terrifying than that past memory. He wakes up in fear and shouts, asking why he is still getting hit. Meanwhile, his master is calmly teaching Theo how to use a phone. Noticing that the blonde is awake, he asks if they should continue training. Seeing the look in Kong Ho's eyes, King starts sweating and wonders if his master actually plans to kill him. He tries to move back, but before he can escape, he gets hit again. That day, King passed out around 15 times. That is how his trauma training begins, taking one heavy hit after another for the next 3 days. Finally, the day of the ranking match arrives. The arena is completely packed, and the audience keeps talking about why a double S rank is fighting an S rank. They wonder if the rumors about Leviton's family issues are true, that the blonde is indeed an illegitimate child. At that moment, Pyro and his team enter the arena. Decked out in expensive gear, the white-haired fighter raises his sword high. People begin whispering about the valuable artifacts he is wearing, which irritates him. However, the fourth son, Rune, warns him to be careful since everyone can hear him. But Pyro does not care and calls them all weak trash. Instead, he is more focused on whether his opponent will even show up since King might have chickened out. Rune starts to question if they are really on the right path. Because their father always said talent is everything, it inflated Pyro's ego, and none of the brothers try to stop him. With how things are going, Rune wonders if everything will turn out fine. At that moment, a voice answers as King arrives and says that he never planned on running away. He apologizes for being late, saying he had to run all the way here in that heavy gear. The blonde then confidently announces that a hero always arrives fashionably late. Taewong jumps straight into insults and taunts King, asking how his failed life has been going. He even mocks the boys, calling them losers who are probably just as broke as King. Our boy hears that and thinks both the father and son have the same filthy mouth. On the other side, Theo is busy staring at his new phone, completely distracted by its insane high-res display. Kong Ho smacks the idiot who had one job to back up King. Anyway, the flame which makes her entrance into the arena now that all the seats are filled. The whole crowd instantly turns toward her, completely taken by her looks. Taewong gets annoyed, watching a hot older woman steal all the attention while he is standing right there. She's not even competing. When the witch notices our Beast King, she tries to greet him, but he signals her to stay quiet in public. She smiles when she sees King bow respectfully, realizing Kong Ho probably drilled that into him. She announces that the match would decide the competitors' official rankings. As the Flame Witch, she stands as the witness and declares the start of the fight. Right then, Taewong tells her to calm her melons. He has a question as to what happens if his powerful, mighty artifacts are too strong, and he accidentally unsubscribes King from life. Annoyed by his stupid question, she strongly warns him that killing with intent will be punished. That only makes the scumbag grin, happy that little accidents are not a problem. Observing the way he acts, he realizes the guy is planning to dress up a murder as an opponent, so he decides to get serious. He says he appreciates his apprentice's dedication to training, and as a reward, he can finally take off his training weights. Suddenly, a loud, crushing sound grabs everyone's attention. A thick metallic suit drops to the ground and cracks the arena tiles on impact. Taewong and his crew just stare, refusing to believe this clown actually ran all the way to the arena wearing that thing. Then, the blonde Rock Lee charges up, and his power shoots up fast. This is the first time he has used his magic since starting physical endurance training, and the difference is huge. He yells that he is practically throbbing with energy, like he could take off any second. Watching how badly he got ratioed by his rival makes that smug little rat grind his teeth. Unable to hold back, he swears he will crush King in front of the whole crowd. As the match officially begins, our boy wishes him luck and steps back. Theo, on the other hand, wishes the kid good luck, trying not to die. Taewong opens with an overhead flame strike. King blocks it with his bare fists, which are reinforced with his wind magic. They pull back, then clash again. Still running his mouth, Taewong asks if King is ready to have his cheeks getting clapped on broadcast for everyone to see. And if he does not die, it is even worse, since losing a ranking match kills your chances of landing any good jobs. Confident in his skills, he is convinced King's future ended the second they stepped into the arena. That pisses King off, who tells the idiot he has no clue what those 16 years on the streets were like. After his mother died, he did not sit around and mope feeling sorry for himself. He fought his way through thugs on the streets every single day, because out there, strength is the only thing that matters. Compared to that, he calls Taewong nothing more than a pathetic Nepo baby with zero real experience. Before he wrecks him, though, King asks one last time why he hates him so much. Without hesitation, the man-child acts like the answer is obvious. He pours everything into his next strike and yells that being born an illegitimate waste of oxygen was King's biggest crime. King is caught off guard, but he still manages to block the hit. He goes for a kick to Taewong's core, but the young master jumps over it and thinks he has the upper hand. That move was a big mistake. King flips into a handstand and drives his foot straight into Taewong's liver. The entire crowd goes silent as the brutal hit sends the young master flying. Our hero feels a bit disappointed the fight is not over, since that should have dropped him for sure. Theo feels the same, but he knows those artifacts are overpowered enough to turn a finishing blow into something that barely stings. Blinged out in his artifacts, Taewong is furious after he got blasted away like Team Rocket. The embarrassment pushes his frustration to its limit, so he brings out his strongest fire skill. Seeing it for the first time, King is not sure how to deal with it. He reinforces his body with magic like usual, but the flames look like they will burn him to charcoal. Even Theo starts to worry for a second, while Kong Ho just stands there calm as ever. That's because he already pulled some money from the bank, anticipating a situation like this. Inside the firestorm, King starts to lose confidence he will survive the flames that feel just as terrifying as they did in his nightmares. But then he notices something is off. He wonders why he, along with his weak barrier, are not cooked. That is when he remembers the glove artifacts his master gave him. Kong Ho had already expected Taewong's artifact-boosted flames to be a problem, so he told King to wear them under his bandages. He was not about to let his apprentice lose just because he was too broke to afford proper gear. King almost tears up, realizing for the first time in his life that he is not fighting alone. Someone has his back. Still floating in the air, Taewong yells that it is time to end the fight. King fires back that he's been running his mouth the whole time, and his flames are trash compared to his master's brutal fists. The spoiled brat freezes when he realizes his strongest attack did not even leave a mark on King. Before he can process that, King closes the distance and lands a satisfying punch that snaps his jaw. Watching their boss get tossed around like a used tissue into a garbage bin, Taewong's brothers drop their jaws. Even the flame, which worries for a second that the young master might not walk away without permanent face damage. King stays relentless, refusing to give the poor guy a second to recover. He barely lands his kick before the heavily battered dude coughs up another mouthful of blood. Things get so entertaining that Theo pulls out his iPhone and starts recording the whole beatdown. Right as King grabs his victim by the collar and goes in for the finishing blow, a volley of powerful magic projectiles flies at him from behind. Their overwhelming aura sends a chill through him, and their speed leaves him no room to dodge. For a split second, he wonders if this is really how his story ends. The detonation covers the entire arena. When the dust settles, Taewong's battered body lies on one side of the arena. His meat riders rush over to check on it. Meanwhile, King finds Kong Ho standing beside him after shielding him from the deadly ambush. Turning around, he calls out the man behind the attack, asking if he is really so petty that he would stick his nose into a fight between kids. The man who walks into the arena is none other than Leviton leader, Taeyong. The guy does not look happy at all to see our hero, and grinds his teeth the moment their eyes meet. Everyone in the arena is stunned to see the man known as the Wind Lord for his unmatched mastery of wind magic. They're surprised because the guild leader supposedly locked himself away for training. Even more shocking is the fact that Kong Ho survives the Wind Lord's attack head-on. A voice suddenly speaks up, wondering if Kong Ho might actually be the Beast King, one of the 5 war heroes. His ridiculously young and handsome appearance makes that hard to believe. Taehoon becomes nervous because their father hates the 5 heroes with a passion. Now, one of the very heroes he always accused of stealing his glory and money stands right in front of him. Taeyong has always told his sons that those so-called heroes even got his twin brother Jun-suk killed just so they could claim a bigger share of the rewards. Looking at the broken state of his most capable son, the guild leader's irritation grows stronger. He asks our hero if forcing his youngest son king into debt was just another one of his shady schemes. Kang Ho replies that all he did was train the kid and rough him up for a few days, which is technically the truth. Watching how much King has grown, Taeyong notices the markings on his gloves. The man's eyes go wide in disbelief, and he realizes those are the constellation gauntlets. Never in his wildest dreams does he expect his brother's gauntlets to end up in Kang Ho's hands. He asks the hero if he has kept them ever since the war. Kang Ho calmly replies that he has merely been looking after them. That answer only makes the guild leader even more furious. The absolute nerve of the man he believes murdered his brother, now claiming he was taking care of the gauntlets, as if Jun-suk will return to Earth like Jesus. The pressure from his raging windstorm overwhelms King. Our hero acknowledges how much Taeyong has improved, but he has no time to waste on admiring him. Drawing his aura blade, he closes the distance near instantly. While the guild leader stares death in the eyes, Kang Ho reminds him that his victim mentality has not changed a bit after all these years. His face is just as punchable now as it was back then. Taeyong's sons can only watch in disbelief as the father they respect so much gets folded within seconds. Our protagonist warns the old man that he'd better clean up his hater campaign. Freedom of speech is one thing, but nonstop yapping from a fool like him is unacceptable. The guild leader answers with a smirk and asks if Kang Ho intends to become King's guardian. He realizes that the decision depends on King himself and whether he wants to keep fighting or surrender. Left with no other option, the Leviton leader orders his sons to withdraw. Hearing that, Taehoon respectfully addresses King, leaving the guy totally caught off guard. The green-haired son apologizes for everything he has done. Getting a genuine apology for the first time in his life, King has no clue how he should respond. Kang Ho speaks up instead. He refuses to let the leader of Leviton walk away after attempting to murder King in the middle of an official ranking match. Surprisingly, the flame which adds that the association will officially register the incident as well. That really gets under the guild leader's skin, so he throws over a gold ring and a silver ring. Even though it pains him to part with them, he considers the rings valuable enough to make up for his actions. Our hero accepts the compensation and says he hopes Taeyong makes up for everything by living a better life. With that settled, the flame which officially declares King the winner of the ranking match. That victory becomes the first major win of King's life. But deep down, nothing compares to the happiness of finally having someone who stands up for him when he needs it most. His master and Theo invite him to a bakery to celebrate the win with a snack. Tears of joy roll down his face as he follows the two people who genuinely care about him. Meanwhile, on a barren battlefield, Jun-suk asks his partner for one favor. The guy keeps chugging his drink and ignores the dude, making it obvious he does not want to hear a word. His friend, who resembles Jun-suk, says it anyway. If the worst comes to pass, he wants to die by his partner's hand. Those words instantly tick the guy off, and he tells the fool to quit acting like it is cool to smile while saying melodramatic nonsense like that. Clearly annoyed, he says the nice weather he was enjoying is ruined. Jun-suk admits the sunny day really is pleasant, but his final request is for him to stop pretending and wake up. At that moment, Kang Ho wakes with a start, still dazed by the strange dream he just had. He realizes he dozed off while Theo and King are excitedly staring at their phones. When he asks what has them so hyped, King shows him an article about his victory. On top of that, the Beast King suddenly appearing during the match has taken over the headlines. King is happy that his master is getting so much attention, but the old man tells him to quit frying on the darn phone and enjoy the luxury apartment he got. The spoiled rich boy remarks that this place is barely more luxurious than his old penthouse with a riverside view. Putting that aside, our hero asks how it feels to finally rub the win in the faces of the people who made his life miserable. Theo figures it has to feel amazing, but King says the match only taught him the limits of his own abilities. He thanks his master for the precious gloves that helped him win. Then he respectfully bows and tries to hand them back because he believes he is not worthy of wearing them. He says that not only the Wind Lord, but even the flame, which would still defeat it. His humble attitude leaves Theo speechless. Meanwhile, Kang-ho praises him for those words. As a reward, he tosses the gold and silver rings toward King. The young man instantly senses the powerful aura coming from both items. His master explains they are the compensation Taeyong paid because he valued those treasures as much as King's life. Instead of feeling happy, King grits his teeth, clenches his fists, and quietly says he is still not worthy. He lives in the same era as legendary heroes, so he knows he only has two choices. He can complain his whole life or train harder until he reaches their level. Burning with determination, he promises Kang-ho that one day his life will be worth far more than just 2 rings. Deep inside, he vows to become strong enough to dominate the world just like his sensei. Right then, King's phone rings, so he picks up a call from Nappa Guild's vice master. Acting like an absolute savage, he tells the guild leader he has no time if the call is only to congratulate him or glaze him up. The Nappa Guild's vice master quickly explains that they urgently need King's help because a major incident has just happened. Only moments ago, someone pulled off a heist on the guild master's vault. After seeing the card left behind, he believes only one person could be responsible: the Phantom. The moment Kang-ho hears that name, he remembers the infamous thief whose reputation has been blowing up lately. The Phantom always follows the same pattern, cleaning out every target before leaving behind nothing but a black card marked with a signature insignia. Meanwhile, Mengchi naps peacefully on a rooftop like the adorable little doggo he is. Out of nowhere, he spots some absolute lunatic sprinting from rooftop to rooftop. The saber tiger gets excited the moment it spots the strange trickster, and seeing such a rare breed right in the middle of the city even makes the Phantom do a double take. She takes a quick detour just to meet the good boy up close. Wagging his tail and panting like the adorable goofball he is, Mengchi happily accepts all the pets she gives him. Before leaving, she gently wraps her scarf around his neck as a little farewell gift. The following morning, Tae-hoon is beyond frustrated after hearing that one of his guild's top teams vanished inside nothing more than a mid-tier dungeon. What makes it even worse is that not a single body is found. He nearly flips the table because his father, the guild leader, has locked himself inside the training hall ever since the ranking match incident. Meanwhile, the youngest heir still remains in critical condition at the hospital. As if that is not enough, more and more Leviton members keep disappearing. The latest person to vanish is his close friend, an A-rank awakener named Myeonju. With all that pressure piling onto his shoulders, Tae-hoon still has the responsibility of repairing Leviton's reputation after the guild got publicly clowned. He locks in and decides the guild's survival has to come first. With that in mind, he heads to the training hall to discuss their next move with his father. When he arrives, he is puzzled to find the door already unlocked, so he quietly peeks inside. The poor guy instantly regrets that decision the moment he sees what is really happening in the room. The next day, Kang-ho finds Myeonju chilling on the rooftop. He asks if the big fluff wants to go for a walk, and the saber tiger gets instantly hyped the moment it sees its master. As our boy walks over, he notices a unique green scarf wrapped around Myeonju's neck that definitely was not there before. He simply shrugs it off since the beast looks dripped out with it, and the two head out together. There is another way downtown where our hero has lunch planned with Flame, which, Mina. As they eat, the two catch up on life. Mina mentions it has been way too long since they last met like this, and says they should make time for these meetups more often. She admits these little breaks are a welcome escape from her hectic schedule. The witch grumbles that she wants to ditch her title and position already, so she can finally enjoy a peaceful life. My guy looks at her and says she seems pretty fine, which instantly hits a nerve. She fires back that she is getting older and desperately needs a break before this job finishes her off. The conversation shifts to Phantom and why none of the thief crimes have appeared in the news. Mina explains that even though the vaults of the big 3 guilds have all been robbed, there are 3 reasons everyone stays quiet. The first is the guild's pride because news of the robberies would wreck their reputation. The second is that the Phantom is just built different. They always leave behind no discernible clues except a calling card. Lastly, every stolen item was obtained through shady means, so bringing them up publicly would only make people ask questions the guilds would rather avoid. Our protagonist agrees that it makes perfect sense why everything has stayed under wraps. Mina grabs her head in frustration and complains that the guilds are tearing the city apart trying to hunt Phantom down. She says the public's growing fear has landed squarely on her shoulders while she is still dealing with the Leviton mess. Kong-ho tries to calm her down and asks how things are going with Leviton. He remembers facing Tai Yong in the arena and noticing the guild master looked even younger than he did when the war ended. His partner replies that she does not know much about the guild's current situation and that these days only Kong-ho seems to be the one making headlines publicly. However, it seems Tai Yong is not exactly a big name either, since he entered secluded training after returning as the only survivor of the Antares Raid. The Flame, which feels bad for Leviton's vice guild master because his life must be a complete nightmare after their embarrassing loss against King. Just then, new alerts pop up on her phone, and she reluctantly gets up to handle her responsibilities. She says goodbye to Kong-ho before leaving. After seeing Mina off, he and Sayola head back to where Meng-chi is waiting for them in a nearby alley. As our boy walks through the crowd of people, one person catches his attention while passing by. A woman with her face hidden behind an umbrella and a green scarf, matching the one around his saber tiger's neck, walks past him. Distracted by the rain and his thoughts about Kong, he does not pay much attention, but he does wonder why it looks exactly like Meng-chi's scarf. The woman crosses into the alley where our hero's beast is waiting, and the saber tiger instantly recognizes her. She gives it a small smirk before raising a finger to her lips, silently telling it to keep quiet. Meanwhile, back at King's apartment, Theo prepares to teach him the secret method for concentrating mana. King seems unsure about the whole thing and treats it like some weird joke, but his master assures him that the technique is actually useful. Kong then asks the demon why he suddenly decided to share the method with outsiders. The blonde guy answers for the demon, explaining that he felt embarrassed walking around with an SS rank while lacking the skills to properly support that title. So Demon Sensei focuses his mana between his hands and tells his student to copy him. In the background, our hero pours himself a drink and looks out from the penthouse window toward the parking lot below. There, he notices a sports car stopping in front of the building, and Taehoon steps out. The vice guild master asks someone if this is the place where King is staying before making his way toward the penthouse. He warns his two roommates about the unexpected guest and tells them to pause their training for now. A few minutes later, Taehoon sits on the sofa across from his younger brother. King is curious how he found his place, and he replies that it isn't difficult to find people when you have connections like it. The blondie asks him what he wants, which makes his guest go silent. Taehoon thinks in his mind about how he can ask him for help after all the bullying and suffering he made him go through for those years as a child. He remembers how he used to ignore it when Taehoon used to beat up King just so he could keep himself at peace. Thinking he has no right to ask for help, Taehoon simply apologizes once again for bullying King and gets ready to leave. As he reaches for the door, Kong-ho asks if he is really okay, pointing out that he looks like he has been through hell. That question triggers a flashback of Kong inside his secluded training room, absorbing the mana from several corpses as his body grows younger. The crazy old man enlightens his son that his power keeps increasing and he cannot wait till he takes revenge on Kong-ho and becomes the absolute of the world. The green-haired guy wonders if it was his hatred for our boy that ultimately turned his father into a monster. However, he then makes up his mind that his father lost himself over the 5 war heroes while the rest of the family stood by and did nothing. Taehoon figures that it is up to him to set things straight with his own hands, even if it ends up costing him his life. At that moment, Kong-ho speaks up and tells him that he does not have to carry that burden alone. That completely catches the green-haired guy by surprise. But our boy tells him that while it is noble to take all the blame upon yourself, experience has taught him that it is perfectly all right to rely on others. After sending a message on his phone, he bids Taehoon farewell and walks away. Taehoon's phone suddenly rings, and he opens it to see that Kong-ho had sent him a message telling him to rely on him every now and then. The story then shifts to the Leviton Guild's main estate, as Taehoon walks through the empty halls with one hand resting on his sword. He opens the office door to find his father already waiting for him, who comments that Taehoon seems heavily armed for a friendly father-son chat. The man starts leaking an evil aura and asks if his son actually plans to go against his own dad. The green-haired guy demands to know what exactly he did to become so young again, but his father wonders if he's talking about the number of sacrifices. Taehoon notices the glowing black stone and realizes that this sinister energy must be the reason behind his miraculous de-aging. Taehoon proudly reveals that this marks the coming of a brand new world. The son cannot believe that his father would stoop this low, but Taehoon simply reminds him that power triumphs over everything. Taehoon accuses him of murdering everyone close to him, but his father shamelessly gaslights him, claiming they were nothing more than spare parts. He then announces that the era of the 5 war heroes is finally coming to an end, and he alone will create a brand new world for himself. Taehoon prepares for battle while thinking that he may be weak, but he will still fight to the death no matter what. Taeyong does not take his words seriously in the slightest and simply snaps his fingers, which triggers a massive explosion. The green-haired guy barely manages to dodge the blast as he flies high into the air. Looking around, he realizes the area is far too populated and figures he somehow has to lure his father toward the mountains. After several minutes of flying, he lands in an open field and decides that this place should be far safer and finds it oddly ironic that it has started raining. Taehoon closes his eyes and begins charging up his awakened ability, while his father slowly aura farms his way toward him, wondering where the hell his son suddenly found the audacity to challenge. Taeyong claims that he loved Taehoon just as much as his youngest son, who unlike him would have gladly stood by his father's side. The green-haired guy realizes there is no saving his father anymore and launches a barrage of massive water spears straight at him. Taeyong effortlessly dispels the entire attack in an instant, which leaves Taehoon completely flabbergasted. Taeyong tells him that he has clearly forgotten who his daddy is before beginning to charge up his own ability. The man unleashes a gigantic tornado that rushes directly toward Taehoon, but it is instantly split apart by a single swing of his sword. Taeyong refuses to let up and immediately summons another enormous tornado and completely engulfs Taehoon inside. The green-haired guy struggles to breathe as the air is violently sucked away, while his father mocks him, claiming that the strong will always take from the weak as he throws more shade at the 5 war heroes. He ridicules Taehoon for trying to protect the weak when absolute strength is all that truly matters. Moments later, Taehoon is blasted backward and crashes onto the ground while barely conscious. His father asks whether he has finally changed his mind, but the green-haired guy painfully forces himself back to his feet and once again points his sword forward. That only irritates Taeyong even more as he remarks that he can always make another son before preparing to finish him off. He activates a forbidden technique that begins draining the mana directly from Taehoon's body. Unable to resist, Taehoon wonders if this is finally the end and whether this is where he dies. However, at that very moment, a beam of light descends onto the battlefield as Kong Ho drops from the sky and instantly shatters the mana-draining spell. Taehoon is blown away by the shockwave, but is even more shocked that our hero actually came to save him. Kong Ho explains that once you reach his age, you develop a certain sixth sense that tells you whenever someone is about to get themselves yeeted out of existence. That is exactly why he had been quietly keeping an eye on the situation, because protecting the younger generation is simply what adults are supposed to do. Turning toward his opponent, Kong Ho asks whether Taeyong agrees with that. However, the Levitin guild leader's mind has already been completely consumed, and all he can think about is revenge. Kong Ho realizes that the real Taeyong is already gone, and there is no turning back from what is about to happen next. Taehoon kneels in front of our hero and asks him to deal with the situation. Kong Ho approaches the guild master and says he is disappointed that the man chose to rely on forbidden power. Looking at the stone embedded in Kang's chest, Bro realizes it is the eternal crystal, similar to the one he obtained from the plant monster. He figures out that the Wind Lord was never strong enough to control the crystal's power and ended up getting consumed by it instead. Taeyong argues that calling his power forbidden was just an excuse and asks if Kong Ho plans to use this chance to finish him off like his brother when his own demonic transformation went out of control. The man angrily says his twin brother always looked down on him, only to eventually die because of hypocrites like our boy. The Leviton leader summons a massive wind attack and launches it at him, but Kong Ho easily dodges. At that moment, Kong Ho remembers an old conversation he once had with Jun Suk. Jun Suk used to say what a pain his little brother can be. The brat was always stuck feeling inferior and blaming everyone around. However, He tells his friend that he is still his younger brother, and his attitude comes from spending his entire life being compared to his older sibling. Meanwhile, the Wind Lord keeps firing powerful wind attacks at our MC, but Kang-ho casually blocks each one in midair. He remembers Jun Suk's words telling him not to hate Kang, but to guide him back onto the right path. Kang-ho finally breaks through his opponent's attacks and charges forward with a punch aimed straight at his head. That move catches Taeyong off guard because Kang-ho's power seems to have no limit as he gets slammed into the ground. Our protagonist continues throwing punches and angrily asks why he forced his son to commit such a horrible act. He tells the man to abandon that power because he clearly cannot control it. Taking advantage of their position, the Wind Lord laughs as he tries to absorb Kang-ho's mana. He claims that this power will finally make him truly strong enough to handle the crystal. The crystal in his chest glows brighter with energy as our hero tells him he can take as much power as he wants and lets the man go. As more power surges through the Leviton leader's weakened body, he starts losing control over the overwhelming force and screams that it is far too much for him to handle. With a grim expression, Kang-ho tears the crystal out of his chest and hears the agonizing screams of his enemy's final moments. As his body breaks apart into mana, the Leviton leader admits that even he was not enough to defeat our hero and questions what the true source of all that energy was before taking his last breath. From behind, Taehun approaches and kneels beside his father with tears in his eyes. He thinks that a son always looks up to his father even when that father is in the wrong. He spent his entire life relying on him. So even when everything is over, the son still holds deep love for his father despite all his flaws and mistakes. He cries over the remains of his father because he is truly sorry for how things turned out. Standing beside him, Kang-ho watches with a heavy heart. He decides that if the boy ever asks, he will explain everything about their past so they can learn from it and make sure such an event can be avoided again. Back at the penthouse, our boy sits hunched over with a gloomy expression. Seola walks up from behind him and asks if he is hurt. Mung-chi appears as well, and both his pets move in to cuddle and comfort their master. Theo tells his flatmate that the crystal he obtained is similar to the one Ball used to absorb the power of all the demons. The man asks Theo if Ball took anything besides his powers, but he only explains that he got rid of his familiars and absorbed all of his demonic energy. He says that the bastard needed power to ascend to a higher world. That requires the power of some demonic seed. Kang-ho wonders whether the demon was after something else besides that. He pushes that thought aside and asks where King is, just as the boy appears all suited up and ready to move. He explains that an urgent call came from Nappa Guild, who are currently chasing down Phantom. Phantom leaps off a building and swings from a telephone wire to reach a nearby rooftop. She desperately tries to escape the bounty hunter sent after her by the Nappa Guild. The thief hides behind a building to catch her breath and looks down at the bleeding wound on her thigh, annoyed that the injury keeps draining away her remaining strength. Nearby, the bounty hunters rush toward her location while searching every corner and talking about the massive bounty the guild placed on her head. One of them jokes that anyone would be crazy not to accept the offer to hunt her down. Phantom breaks into a cold sweat as she realizes just how many hunters were hired to capture her and thinks about how powerful the big three guilds really are. Suddenly, a hand holding a knife emerges from the wall beside her and tries to stab her, but the girl quickly dodges and makes a run for it. From behind, a creepy dude covered in full body bandages crawls out of the wall and tries to chase after her. As she continues her escape, she barely avoids the attacks from the hunters and lands on another rooftop. Just ahead, she spots King standing there with a smug grin on his face. He charges up and throws an attack that narrowly misses her, but conveniently hits Phantom's pursuers and throws them completely off track. She is stunned that a legendary awakener like him could miss someone from such a close distance. King simply gives her a quick wave, and she falls safely onto the fur of Mung-chi below. The moment she lands on the beast, the exhausted girl falls asleep while still trying to convince herself that she needs to keep moving. Our boy stands nearby and nods toward his pets before boldly asking whoever is hiding to come out of their hiding spot. Just then, the same dude who tried to stab Phantom rises from a puddle on the ground and asks if he is the famous Beast King. He then continues by asking whether the hero has seen the thief who is lurking somewhere nearby. Kang-ho straight up says he hasn't seen anyone, while his beast put on a scary expression to intimidate the suspicious guy. The guy instantly senses the danger and decides not to test his luck, disappearing back into the puddle to leave the area. Meanwhile, the girl is fast asleep, safely hidden away on Mengqi's back. As she wakes up, the girl hears voices arguing about the lack of space in the house. They consider if they should get another bed. She thinks about how annoying these dudes are and wonders if they might punish her for all the crimes she committed. She also questions who this strange trio is and why they're making such a huge commotion in the first place. As the noisy conversation continues, she realizes they still have not noticed that she is awake. That gives her a chance to escape. However, when she opens her eyes, Phantom realizes she is no longer wearing her suit and is lying on a bed with Yahello sleeping peacefully on her stomach. The fox wakes up and notices their guest, trying to stay quiet, but our boys sense her presence right away. The girl puts on a friendly act and greets King and Kong Ho, which makes our hero realize that almost everyone recognizes him after his clash with Tai Yong in the arena. She asks what they plan to do with her after saving her, and our boy explains that they did not have any plans to begin with because it was all the blonde guy's idea. He explains that Nappa placed a massive bounty on her head, and she could have ended up in serious trouble if they had not stepped in. The MC points out that since she targeted all the big vaults, the guilds want to make an example out of her, but they're also using the situation to hide their own corruption. King understands that while she should face consequences for her crimes, killing her will be going too far, so they decided to interfere and save her. The boy notices that his boss referred to them as a team, and his eyes light up with excitement. Our hero then asks the girl why she was committing these robberies in the first place, especially since she is a druid. He explains to everyone that druids are a rare group connected closely with spirits and gain their power from nature. He says that her kind would normally never involve themselves with such shady business. Yet someone like her was still attacking the 3 biggest guilds and risking her life for it. Phantom asks if she will be spared if she tells them the truth, and Kong Ho replies that she was never going to be punished from the start. He reassures her that if they truly wanted to end things, they could have done so long before now. Theo tells her that the door is unlocked, and she can leave whenever she wants. This somehow sends the autistic conversation into a completely different direction about door locks, losing the point at hand. Annoyed, the girl wonders why they asked their own question if they do not even want to hear the answer. She covers her ears to save her last surviving brain cells. Phantom properly explains that she was targeted because of her clan's treasure. Kong Ho realizes that the Nappa Guild must have held some kind of druid treasure. The girl adds that just last summer, right when Nappa was prepping for their raid, they came to ask her clan for assistance in exchange for a specific item in the dungeon. King chimes in and confirms that the guild went back on its words. He was able to peek into the guild's documents and discovered their long list of scams, making him regret his time with them. Kong Ho internalizes that this is the moment the boy is understanding how this world truly works. The disappointment is just the start to the cold reality. But in a way, our guy is proud of the direction King is heading. Now that Phantom's explained her part, she wants to leave. Our guy even points her to the direction where she should head out alongside her clothes. While she's wearing them again, the druid is suddenly hit with the realization that someone must have taken her clothes off her body. The tiny fluffball is unhappy to see her go. Phantom asks about Siola's details. Kong Ho explains that the little thing is a subspecies, evident by her twin tails. He asks about her suspicions and discovers that among the druid clans, there's a famous legend about this subspecies. Her clan shares a rich history of legends for this creature. For example, there's the legend of the 4-tailed fox that managed to disperse a disaster. While in the north, it is rumored that the fox turned into a human and lived in harmony with the villagers. The most famous legend of all concerns the 5-tailed fox, who opened a gateway to another dimension and disappeared. Kong Ho connects the dots and remembers Johanna mentioning the same legend. And since he wants to pursue more information, he suddenly decides to go with Phantom. The girl thinks it's not needed while Theo gives the green signal too. Our guy believes it's best for him to investigate the neighborhood and check things out properly. Phantom accepts the proposal while Theo suddenly spots and obliterates a bug with his thunderclap. She immediately turns around and berates his ass for being the backstabber dude from back on, causing King to feel flustered on the dude's behalf. Kong Ho begs her to come outside, while Temu Kaneki over here is just shocked she was able to recognize. Phantom shares that this dude seems kind of chill in person and is looking forward to their next encounter. Theo is currently over the moon. Bro thinks he's Mr. Beast all of a sudden going viral because of his 2-second clip. King, on the other hand, can barely hold his own laughter, finally dropping the bombshell on the poor guy's ass. Theo is hit with back-to-back reality checks as he sees a YouTube short of him goofing around going viral instead. He shouts in frustration that Kong Ho ruined everything, but our boy is already trying his best to get the fudge away from the dude as fast as possible. Phantom recommends she be dropped off at Yandongpo, as there's another druid guild she can carry over to. This surprises our guy, who initially thought she was headed to Manhwa Island instead. His words astonish the heck out of her, because even among the druids, the knowledge of that island is rare. Fast forwarding ahead, we arrive at Manhwa Island, a region that is still steeped in scars from the war that once was. Good boy Mungchi sets them down. Kong Ho allows him to play around as his treat, while Phantom is stunned how this dude knows about the precise location of their hidden sanctuary too. His mysterious source of knowledge concerns her as she asks about Kong Ho's identity one more time. So he clears up the misunderstanding by revealing his connection to Neva. Neva is the name of the Druidian elder. Before the girl could process what he just said, suddenly a strong gust of wind stuns them. The energy is drawing itself into the forest, where tiny forest spirits expose themselves to protect the sanctuary. Our cute little marshmallow goes on the hunt and scares them all away with the power of cuteness. Unfortunately, Sayola crashes into a bush. A gentle voice advises the little fox to be gentle with her advances, as her children are easy to frighten. This glorious woman is Elder Neva. Phantom humbly lowers herself before the great leader, who praises the young one for performing well on her mission. Neva then glances at the Beast King himself, reminiscing how the guy hasn't aged a day since they last met. Praising her beauty, Kong Ho thinks it's the same for her. The elder welcomes them inside their hideout, which encompasses the forest of the druids. Sayola is dazzled by the view. Kong Ho asks if she loves it, and the little one agrees in joy. This was once a place where Kong Ho himself had discovered 40 years back for the sake of the druid clan's migration. Sayola is enjoying herself, while Elder Neva shares how much the whole clan is indebted to the Beast King's help. Kong Ho is so humble, he doesn't even care about getting repaid, but the elder is just happy for him, saving one of their own again. Phantom is too important to Neva, destined to lead their clan in the future. The children greet her with joy, while Kong Ho talks about the more pressing matter of the druid treasure's recovery. He wants to see it with his own eyes. Elder Neva is more than happy to oblige and show the treasure over tea, so our guy leaves the little one to play while the duo sits down over a nice spot. Here, the elder unboxes the next iPhone. Actually, no, it's a gorgeous emerald sparkling with immense power. This beauty draws Kong Ho's attention, who reaches his hand towards the gem. The fragment crystal reacts with light. It's revealed to boast an ancient power containing the essence of the Mu continent, also known as the second dimension of growth and evolution. Kong Ho's theory proved correct, but he doesn't know what the growth dimension means at all. He desires to know more about the object from the Mu continent. Elder Neva shares that each tribe, representing the 4 directions and center, has protected these treasures. However, since they became mad in their lust for power, all of those clans met an unhappy fate. The elder has no idea what happened to them after that. The only person capable of wielding the fragment's power was the high priest of the central forest. By the way, Sayola also senses its energy and suddenly gets charged, surprising both of them as it comes dashing full speed to crash at their table. The tiny fox's stats have a special skill expansion slot, and thanks to its twin tails, it's brilliant at absorption of natural energy. The same skill evolved just now after absorbing some of that energy, surprising our guy as he stares at the little fluff ball. Neva assumes it's because of the world tree. He's heard quite a bit about these foxes being efficient in the absorption of energy. Kong Ho thinks it only makes sense since the little one already gained a new skill absorbing the power of the Demon Realm Dungeon 2. This confirms to him that the pure energy of this world tree is the reason for Sayola's further transformation. Elder Neva reaches out to the world tree, pressing the gemstone into its core. This allows the emerald to replenish the tree with an even greater light, casting a beautiful transformation of their hideout. Phantom and the kids are happy, while the little fox is having the time of its life. Elder Neva points out just how much Siola is finding comfort here. Kong-ho ends up being convinced to stay for a bit, unable to ignore the little thing's happiness. That night, our guy drifts off into some kind of dream sequence to a completely different dimension. His body is floating, and he sees a certain creature in the distance approaching him. Each of this monster's tails are coated a different color, representing 9 dimensions locked inside each tail. The fox he's facing is enormous, and it seems to have paths connected to all 9 dimensions. This beautiful fox is none other than his previous partner, Siola. Kong-ho embraces his dear old partner with love, expressing how much he missed her. The gorgeous fox asks if he's doing okay. Our guy is just shattered with so much grief of losing her that he even apologizes 3 decades later for what happened. Siola nuzzles his face, while another voice asks why Kong-ho is always embedded in his grief, apologizing every time. Our guy questions if he's hearing things right, if there's anyone there at all. Turns out, a little girl with fox ears was hiding near Siola, meaning the 9 tails that our boy saw didn't belong to its partner, but rather this child. He's curious about the child's identity, but before any more answers could be revealed, Siola bids her dear old friend goodbye, wishing Kong-ho a happier life. Our boy suddenly wakes up from his nap, glancing at the sleeping marshmallow. The little thing sleepily looks at it. Papa Kong-ho apologizes for waking the tiny baby up, but he's still confused about the dream he just had. The little one suddenly expresses its shock, as out of nowhere, a 3rd tail begins to sprout from its back, imbued with green natural energy. The transformation is sudden. The mythical beast now has access to yet another ability as the conditions have been met. Kong-ho assumes that this transformation must have been linked to the dream he just had, but he's got no clue what new skill the little one has unlocked this time. Then he notices a barrier enveloped around Siola, causing the little thing to float in the air. Kong-ho watches as beaming blue light blinds him, revealing a new look for the cutest fox ever. Siola has taken the form of a fox girl and has become a proper baby. She looks at her tiny fingers while our guy just sits there, speechless. He welcomes the baby to their world, and for the first time, Siola speaks without using telepathy, greeting him back. Kong-ho greets the tiny thing as it gently falls right in his chest. The little one cutely licks his nose, confirming that she's indeed the fox she always was. We cut back to Theo's side, who's enjoying a delicious meal, all thanks to King's cooking, and throws apparently mini Gordon Ramsay, because this is basic stuff to him. Theo trash talks Kong-ho's crappy meal taste when all of a sudden, the devil himself slams the door open, joining. Theo's terrified while our guy notices they're already eating. The little fox girl swoops in with the speed of light, confusing both of them, and in hilarious fashion, trips over her own hair and falls down. Seems like she's still not accustomed to her tiny new body. Theo goes up to check on the tiny one, inquiring where our guy managed to pick this thing up from. The first thing Siola does is chomp his arm, making Theo understand who this little devil really might be. Siola is quickly given new clothes for her body, another one of the talents of the king, who seems to know everything at this point. Anyway, Bro posted Kong-ho alongside the cute fox girl on a website. Theo's also having his fair share of fun taking pictures. The naughty fox girl snatches the meat, earning another cute little photo that goes straight into the post. Kong-ho is impressed with how fast the children of this era post photos online. He admires how cute the little one looks, eating to her delight. King teases him for being a doting father, when suddenly they both receive a new test for the first quarter Awakener test. Apparently several people are open to achieving the double S rank level. Awakener tests are held 4 times a year in each quarter. Ranks are determined by merits, which account for several factors. Sparring matches are also conducted between Awakeners, and if you look really close in the background, you can spot Rock Lee from Naruto and Paul Phoenix from Tekken dueling it out. Anyway, King's looking forward to training his balls off to win against the newbies, with Theo's chilling and entertaining idea of joining as well. This surprises them, but Theo is curious if he's eligible to enter in the competition too. Our boy doesn't quite get his intentions and finds him suspicious. Theo acts like he's got nothing schemed, but in his head he has a whole different problem to worry about. It's noted that he was ranked 4th in the demonic realm, and just with that ranking, everyone knew him in the realm. But in the real world, Bro doesn't have followers, nobody cares about him, and he's notorious for being the shitty backstabber guy. So for the sake of his pride and honor, this man is hell-bent on using this test as a method of clearing his name. But he acts like he just wants to test his real strength in front of his buddies. King is baffled by Theo's reaction, while our boy knows that something's up for sure that this guy isn't telling them about. Regardless, he asks for the deadline details and learns that they can apply readily whenever. Kang-ho decides to go along with helping Theo sign up for the test, but he'll need King's help along the way. Though he's being helpful here, our guy turns around to make it damn clear that if this demon bastard dares to kill anyone, it'll mess up everything. King tries to side with Theo and explains that he must know those things already. And in the end, Kang-ho understands that this guy needs some kind of job. So this works well in his favor. Petting the tiny marshmallow, Kang-ho shares that they're going to be having tons of fun soon. Fast forwarding ahead to the arena, we have many different candidates waiting around for their test. This place is jam-packed with the best guild masters in the country. And for normal awakeners, this test is the best chance for them to increase their rankings. The announcer shares that every participant must follow staff instructions to avoid accidents. She starts off by commencing the first promotion test for this year's talent. We have several notable candidates like the number 1 S-ranker, Broken, or the number 2 ranker Kang Tae-hoon. There's also Fort, the newest star climbing the rankings. Chulb watches with great anticipation of his prize student's performance. The old bastard is still having a hard time believing that the little fox ended up transforming into a cute lady. Kang-ho is sitting in this guy's office, agreeing that he's also adjusting to this change. He's also confused about how toys are being sold in front of the arena, which just seems strange. Without explaining much, Chulb asks about the newcomer Theo, who Kang-ho has brought with him. The MC confirms this, suddenly forgetting about the nickname they assigned. Seola reacts to his arrival, Theo looking all dripped up in his suit, making fun of the other contestants in the arena. One ugly guy looks at the dude dressed in a nice suit and assumes that this must be an arrogant idiot. So he targets Theo directly and charges at him, thinking it's going to be an easy kill. King warns the fellow to watch out, stunning the bald head, that even this guy is rooting for the dude in the suit. King emphasizes Theo not to kill. And well, if you're hearing someone beg your opponent not to kill you, you're basically cooked. The guy assures everyone that he'll play easy, activating familiar summoning and casting a veil of shadows in the arena. Instead of unleashing an army sung Jinwoo style, all he does is bring out one bonehead onto the battlefield. Chulb is baffled by this move, while Theo commands his father to attack and show the might of the Italog family. With the bonehead on the offensive, Kang-ho is wondering what's to come next. The skeleton disappears into ashes out of the blue, confusing the fatty, and then comes the first jawbreaker kick straight across the guy's face. Apparently, the bonehead went invisible and then popped right into existence again. It downs the opponent in one hit. Theo laughs in the faces of everyone daring to underestimate his family's might. Chulb is fascinated by this new guy that our boy brought. Kang-ho suddenly notices a familiar figure entering the arena. The man looks up at him before teleporting straight into the room with godlike speed. This is Karen, a warrior active on the front lines, still giving his best to the battlefield. Karen looks at the little one and wonders if Kang-ho got a daughter all of a sudden. He's really happy for our guy who has changed a lot from his hardcore days. Let's go back one night prior to this meeting and see what happened. Kang-ho was on a call and learned about Karen looking into it. 15 years ago, this man had wandered all over the world looking for powerful opponents until he reached this country. He wanted to learn from the strongest hunter, but on the day of their meeting, something had already pissed off our boy's mood. The guy's chatter pissed him off, and well, that resulted in a pretty humiliating defeat for Karen, who knew how to remain humble after that. Cringing from the memory of that fight, Kang-ho expresses that he was hot-headed and shared fault too, but the other guy is pretty happy to get his ass kicked and learn from his failures since then. Anyway, he's come here for serious business, presenting a purple fragment of crystal in the hopes that Kang-ho would know something about it. Our boy stares at the stone, immediately inquiring where this guy managed to obtain the stone in the first place. The story follows that a ranker in Belgium went psychotically berserk, and unlike Korea, there's only a few competent high rankers, causing heaps of damage. Unfortunately, Karen had to kill his own friend because of that. The stone had corrupted his comrade's soul, who refused to let it go until the very moment of his death. This reminds Kong Ho of similar cases in the past. Each magic stone seems to tempt the awakeners into a corrupted lust for power. Karen is glad that he came to the right person to seek help, fearing that he too would succumb to the temptation of the stone and wreak havoc someday. The scariest part is that he's ranked 3rd in the whole world, which means an evil Karen would obliterate most of everything. Kong Ho realizes that he's being told and entrusted this information, as he's the only person capable of stopping such a huge threat. The Beast King is the only person alive who can be considered an absolute as a human. Our guy takes the stone and intends to keep a close eye on it. Steela suddenly mutters King's name, baffling both of them, while Chulb excitedly reveals that Theo apparently defeated S-Rank number 3 just now. It seems that the demon is having tons of fun in this match. We go back to the arena and see his grinning face, facing no difficulty against his opponent. The candidates spectating are shocked that this guy's a newbie and already duking it out with S-Rankers. The rank 30th S-Ranker flexes his ranking, assuring his opponent that not all of them are equal. He pulls some sword dances, capable of cutting down the skeleton with ease. Now that Theo's left wide open, the guy quickly rushes to attack him directly, believing he's won the battle. King shouts in concern, but in reality the demon wanted this outcome in the first place, ridiculing the S-Ranker for underestimating his family again. Because even after his summon is destroyed, it simply scatters its parts and attacks the sword wielder from every direction. Those flurry of attacks are enough to knock him out, while the bonehead returns to its original form like nothing even happened. There goes another S-Ranker. Theo's facing an issue with low mana right now, but he's enjoying setting a scene for his crowd. Right when he wants another opponent, our boy chimes in and tells him to wrap it up for the day. The demon is cocky and doesn't want to stop, hoping to one last dude in front of him. The poor guy with the silly bob is offended by his words, while everyone else in the crowd is cheering for Kong Ho, believing the white-haired dude is his little brother or something. Our guy asks if this idiot came up with his nickname, and learns that Theo wants to call himself Lord Hades from now on. It's such an edgy and boring name. Even the spectators point out how the backstabber guy sounds cool. Kong Ho doesn't care about this idiot embarrassing himself, and we get an official ranking of Theo standing at S-Rank number 20 on his first day. Around this time, at the Orchard Dungeon, we have a different situation going on with Johanna's side. Theo's out cold for the time being. Johanna comes along to greet the Absolute. The fairy shows him the abundance of fruits they recently harvested. She explains how the rice cakes and caring for the trees gave them these fruits, and since she's an earth spirit, they became even better. Sayola's just ready to munch one right in her mouth, begging her papa for permission. Kong Ho allows the cutie to act as needed. The fox girl takes a huge chomp, inviting concern from her papa for eating so big. King notices the kid's talent for being a mukbang influencer and records this footage too. Eating that fruit strangely blesses her with an influx of energy. Blue particles flash, and all of a sudden, she's transformed into her white Fong form. Kong Ho is really happy to see her become stronger and stronger. The fox quickly transforms itself back to her human form. Sayola seems to have a fishy face going on for Johanna. The fairy is concerned about this confusing face. Not even our guy can decipher it. King wonders if it has to do with the fact that Sayola has grown even more. This is the perfect answer as the fox confirms it herself. King celebrates while Kong Ho can't tell any difference in her appearance. But the good thing is that she's steadily growing. Back to the idiot attention-seeking demon. Theo wakes up after his coma, questioning why Kong Ho is still up at this hour. Our boy is up studying the purple fragments. Theo's confused how there can be two of them at the same time. After staring at the two of them for long enough, Kong Ho comes to an interesting finding. The two are resonating with each other's energies, melding into one right when he didn't expect them. He's pulled into a hellish sequence, connecting him to another dimension that isn't Earth. This place is the definition of death and destruction. A defeated figure calls out to Baal, questioning why he's obsessed with power. Kong Ho realizes that he's currently connected to the perspective of Baal himself, who secured the crystal in his hand and demanded to know who would dare spy on it. Kong Ho snaps out of the sequence because of Theo yelling his name. Our guy has absolutely no idea how he managed to connect with Baal, but he could at least catch a glimpse of his face from the crystal's reflection. Remember those split crystals? Kang Ho looks down again and finds them seamlessly in one piece. And yes, the one piece is real. The power of the crystal is strange, but interestingly, it doesn't tempt the demon in any way. Theo's father always praised their family's legacy of resisting temptation, and that if Theo got stronger, then someday he would receive a secret treasure without hassle. Anyway, what's curious about the demon is how an ordinary human like Kang Ho can resist the temptation. Our boy internalizes that perhaps it's because some kind of unknown power is dwelling deep within his body. He plays around with his energy blending in with the stone, causing the ground to shake all of a sudden. It almost seemed like an earthquake, but seconds after, nothing happened. Kang Ho explains that King already left for Napa for an important matter. Earthquakes are usually a sign of a giant gate's manifestation, which makes our guy believe that there's another one appearing connected to the demon realm. Even poor little Seola ended up waking up from the tremors. We quickly arrived in Incheon, where the giant gate unleashed havoc hovering over Yeongjong Island. This purplish-black void is a danger to the civilians, so the area is called for evacuation. Meanwhile, Ghost, or the scout of the Napa Guild, pops right up to inspect the situation of the gate. He reports that it's indeed connected to the demon realm, with an astounding 3 times larger size than the previous. For battle-specific details, we're looking at a tropical rainforest with a pair of Amon drakes as the bosses. This mission is out of Napa's league to handle alone. Amon drakes are not easy to fight. They're a new classified monster with thick armor and poison coated on every inch of its body. The guild had to exhaust all its might just to defeat one, and now they're dealing with 2. Coming to their rescue as our boy, Kang Ho makes his arrival to personally handle the gate and save the day. His experience from the Demon Ream dungeons will lend him the upper hand in this battle. He also allows the others to join and do their business inside the gate, if necessary, while he's scouting around. King warns Kang Ho to at least leave the little fox behind, but Bro doesn't feel fear at all and takes her for a small field trip adventure experience. Inside the gate, the environment is exactly as described. It's a tropical rainforest setting. Theo is thrilled to breathe the air of his homeland again, while our boy urges him to just start the briefing already and stop wasting time. In the demon realm, this forest is called the Forest of Lamentation. Many monsters thrive here, but the ones worth their time are the mid-level predators, the Amon drakes themselves. While both of them arrive to confront the intruders, Kang Ho is a little shocked that Theo is calling them barely mid-level predators, implying there are far more powerful creatures in the forest. Theo confirms this to be true, pointing to another monster that shares the damn size of a mountain. It's the evil dragon, Chasmas, a colossal creature and the master of the forest, known as the king of the earth dragons. Kang Ho's worried if the big guy can fly, but luckily earth dragons don't have that liberty. Instead, they're powerhouses who can crush anything in their path. I mean, I want you guys to look at the sheer size of this Goliath, but the craziest part is how the beast literally grew wings out of nowhere, stunning even Theo with this abnormal transformation. The enormous dragon takes itself to the skies, powered by some sort of purple crystal embedded in its chest. This is the eternal crystal that forced the creature to undergo a transformation. Seola is impressed with this big guy and wants to challenge it in her fox form, expressing her desire to her papa. Our guy's a little freaked out by how aggressive this little girl is against every powerful opponent. As for the 2 Eamon drakes, they're another problem to take care about. Kang Ho hands Theo the artifact that he lent King the previous time. The demon is tasked to handle the drakes who are currently raving the forest just to get to them. Both make contact, but don't hit anything as Kang Ho and Theo soar into the skies. The demon is stunned how his mana capacity just shot up 100 times wearing the artifact. With one side covered, Kang Ho wishes for Seola to assist him in his fight against the enormous earth drake. The mountain-sized beast has a special skill called Bomb Beetle, an extremely high defense that needs to be penetrated. Back to Theo. The guy's using his skeleton summon to play with a pair of drakes, both creatures ready to run the fate. Kang Ho takes up to the skies, emphasizing how little Seola is going to face her first tough opponent. By the way, even though these 2 are making the front lines, the rest of the guilds managed to form an alliance to invade the dungeon and help out with 200 men. King led them while increasing his reputation, But the moment they arrived on the main battlefield, they witnessed something shocking. The bonehead had grown itself to humongous sizes, going Bruce Lee mode against these overgrown lizards. This dude is throwing straight hands against large drakes, knocking one down and grabbing the other creature's jaw shut. King warns Theo to watch out for the green one, but the skeleton is quick on the offense and pins the green one down while grabbing the red one. This fight's almost too easy for him with the new artifacts buff. Theo suggests the others to back the heck away because the poison of the drakes will melt everything in its path. The demon is concerned with how difficult this fight can get if he loses his artifact. And now, he still doesn't have the offensive power to penetrate their armored shields. To make up for that, the demon manifests a demonic sword in his own hand, which carries over to the skeleton. He then renders a slash, ripping the first creature's flesh apart, no matter the sturdy armor. The second one is also brutally killed, taking down both drakes at once without a problem. The guild members can't believe their eyes. They know that skeleton from somewhere, realizing it's Theo from the promotion arena. At last, the demon is finally getting the recognition he deserves under the name of Lord Hades. Or so he thought, because everyone still calls him the backstabber. Poor guy. King asks about Kong Ho's situation. The demon points them way over there where an explosion has just detonated. The Earth Drake has unleashed many of its cluster bombs. Our boy engages with them, carving a path while teaching Ciola to time each hit perfectly. On Kong Ho's signal, they deal a collective strike, cutting way past the flames and make their way up to the evil dragon. This gives them the opportunity to cut down the creature's wings. Kong Ho slashes them, and so does the little fox with her tails, taking out both wings from each side. The dragon has its wings clipped in a single maneuver, causing it to crash all the way down brutally. Chasmas plummets with such great impact that it sends people flying, while Theo is unable to accept how our guy managed to mutilate and defeat the king of earth dragons in a single hit. But that's not true, because Chasmas is still up for round 2. Our guy descends as fast as possible, his mana rising higher and higher, even while descending. Kong Ho bursts with unfathomable speeds as the worried Theo begs him to stop from ripping his own body apart. Ciola goes back to her human-like state, depleted of any strength to continue as she goes unconscious. King is worried for her sake and jumps up high to catch the little one from dropping at that insane height. Luckily, he grabs hold of her while our boy descends at max speed. King warns Kong Ho to watch out for the creature's tail aiming at him from the side. The scene is tense because it's either Kong Ho will reach the monster's body first or the tail will hit him. In absolute Giga-Chad fashion, this man swipes his arm in a way that just his aura chops down the monster's tail. With the distraction out of the way, Kong Ho generates a sharp sword pooling from his energy before finally connecting his attack with Chasmas' flesh, successfully penetrating the armor. Kong Ho takes a breath in exhaustion from taxing his body, which suffers immense backlash right after he kills the dragon. The overload is far too much for him to handle, and if he doesn't control it here, it's going to devour him whole. At this moment, Theo becomes his savior, using the power of the artifact to control the overload. Questioning if Kong Ho is even human for the kind of power he emits from his body, our guy warns him to stay back, but the demon has a plan, activating his family's sacred refinement technique to tame the overload. Thankfully, Kong Ho lives another day as the overload is negated. The validation-hungry demon explains that he's always been this powerful, though he asks for Chasmas' corpse as his reward, desiring the dragon as his familiar. Kong Ho simply extracts the crystal from the creature's chest, allowing Theo to do whatever he wants with the corpse. Now, this is the third crystal he successfully obtained from the demonic realm. And just like last time, making the pieces interact will generate an interesting effect. But first, Kong Ho instructs the demon to take care of everyone and return them home safe. Theo has no idea what he's waffling about until our boy merges the crystals together, expressing his confidence in the demon from this point on. His consciousness fades to black as Kong Ho awakens in a completely different space. It's a different scenery of the demon realm that he's usually familiar with. This time, he faces the one that has been waiting for his arrival. This person welcomes Kong Ho to the intermediary space before entering the demonic realm. The figure standing before him isn't Baal, but his servant. This guy's impressed with Bale's prediction not to search the realm for 100 days. Kang-ho clocks the crystal embedded in his chest, noting how this dude isn't consumed by the crystal's corruption. Kang-ho is ominously warned that the demons will come for his dimension soon, vaguely addressing him as the master of the shard. The sequence ends with our boy waking up in King's house. Theo couldn't have accessed Mengchi, so he did what he could best. The little fox is already eating her meal as Kang-ho is the last to wake up. Meanwhile, Theo has been teaching Siola some words. King even taught him how to cook perfect meals. The little fox is even beginning to laugh, just like this clown. Kang-ho strictly begs the fox never to copy that dumbass ever again. Theo, on the other hand, presents them with his special, juice-exploding stick. Also, there's a cute little minion of Chasmiz that was successfully constructed through its corpse. Theo doesn't have the confidence to control a creature larger than this size, even though it's a miniature version of the colossal dragon. Anyway, the homeboy is curious if Ball and Kang-ho had their meeting at last, but our guy shares that he instead met some lapdog with a great sword who addressed Ball as his master. Theo instantly recognizes who he's talking about. This person is Adakela Nagaras, ranked second in the realm and the loyal servant of his leader. Compared to Theo's own prime, this guy's one of the opponents that he could never even dream of defeating. Ball is the only way out in a fight like that. Theo puts Kelada's skills comparable to Kang-ho's own magical prowess. At the same time, there is one prominent weakness that the human has that the demon does not. Kang-ho realizes that it must be the limitations of his physical body, which Theo confirms is the case. He doesn't want our boy to get cocky and get slammed into the concrete. Theo thinks that there's no need to fight those monsters, until our guy reveals that Ball and his servant are actually planning to cross over to their world over and over. It's concerning to Theo how they manage to find holes to invade Earth over and over. While Kang-ho assumes that there has to be some sort of loophole or catalyst allowing the demons to enter Korea of all places. Looking back on how he obtained his mysterious abilities to read crystals, Kang-ho connects the dots of his ageless youth and tremendous magic, believing it's time for him to finally uncover the secrets of his powers at last. We move along with Theo firing up his skeletal minions to work on the cabin. These little guys are playing Bob the Builder right now. Kang-ho is shocked by their impressive speed alongside Siola. Theo explains that construction is a specialty for the Italug family, as they had to build entire castles back in his days. So this cabin is practically light work for him. Our guy is interested in the expansion of the cabin so that they can make room for the rest of the gang. The little foxy's belly grumbles as she asks for a meal from King. Our guy was shocked that she's already hungry when she ate breakfast not too long ago. Theo explains that the little one enjoys her meals with spicy seasonings. Kang-ho argues that spices aren't good for people even though they taste really good. Lucky for them, the master chef arrives just in time with a whole truck on it. The container sprouts open, revealing a whole bunch of new stuff that this man bought with Kang-ho's card. The skeleton army is out here doing heavy work. I mean, respect to these bonehead mad lads for putting in the work and creating $1 million cabin. The place looks amazing now. Theo and King are really happy with the way it turned out. To celebrate the occasion, King whips out heavy meals, preparing the best food possible. Meanwhile, our boy is curious about King's meeting with the Napa Guild and how it played out. Turns out that the influencer officially concluded his contract with the guild just that day, which means he's free to do whatever he likes. Kang-ho is curious why he decided to throw in the towel. King simply responds that he has the desire to become stronger. Putting down his fork, he enthusiastically begs Kang-ho to reveal all his secrets to becoming so much stronger. The same goes for Theo. While our boy can't take them seriously and requests that they finish their meals, life has changed for him. Kang-ho was all alone, but now he's surrounded by a lively team, even the little fox. The cabin is close to his heart and has become his new home. At that moment, our guy detects a presence behind the door and tells this person to come out already. The girl is caught and praises the new look of the cabin. It's the druid Phantom, who really wishes to discuss something urgent. The matter pertains to Kang-ho. Elder Neva wants to see him as soon as possible. Realizing that this is actually serious, our guy sets off immediately with Meng-chi while Phantom rides on her badass bike. They arrive at the sanctuary, the same place as last time. Little Siola turns into her fox state automatically to her own surprise. She doesn't know what triggered her transformation. Meanwhile, our boy stares up in confusion, sensing that the whole forest is brimming with unfathomable energy from the water of life, which means the blooming process is about to begin. Elder Neva arrives at the scene and shares that ever since Kong Ho stepped foot in the sanctuary, the vital force has grown exponentially. Both of them theorize that it's got something to do with the green jewel. Elder Neva apologizes for abruptly summoning him like this, but she fears the worst and needs his help in case something goes south. Kong Ho assures her that things are okay and tasks his cute familiar to be one guard. To his shock, Siola's acting up, her body surging with the energy of the forest. The little beast is enveloped in blue particles. The vital force of the tree is about to bloom at last. Elder Neva and Phantom await in great anticipation. It's at this crucial moment that Siola surprises everyone by lunging up, activating her third tail's special ability out of the blue. She's out here acting like Sonic the Hedgehog while our boy stands confused. Her attack is so powerful that it splits the fabric of reality, exposing the flesh of space itself. The portal leads to another location, one that Elder Neva recognizes in a state of shock. Kong Ho asks if she knows about this location. It's finally revealed to be the Mu continent's central forest, the original homeland to the druid. But when she tries to reach out towards the dimensional portal, Neva weeps, sensing that she can't bypass the portal at all. She questions if there's something holding her back, but then our boy inserts his arm, and surprisingly, it follows through without trouble. Elder Neva explains that this is the same legend of the beast of 5 tails cutting open the dimensional gate, so the only candidate permitted to pass must be the white-fanged fox and her master. In other words, Siola and Kong Ho can go through. The scene switches to our boy reflecting on the thoughts of a new home, sweetly recalling how he was alone, but then friends came up in his life. King and Theo made him laugh and smile more, and eventually they all just became a real family together. Fulfilling the wishes of his original partner Siola, Kong Ho feels like he's honoring her well by living a happier life. Suddenly Theo's voice calls out to him to come out as the show is about to begin. With the dimensions split open, our guy and his familiar hop inside to see what's up. They arrive directly into the heart of the Mu continent. Looking down at the forest, Kong Ho glances at a person's figure standing atop the water of life. The figure gestures their hand down, forcibly pulling the human's body towards it. Kong Ho is stopped just before this person's face, who questions if the human has come to visit from another world. Confused, our guy asks for this dude's identity and learns that he's Nergan, the high priest of the forest. Kong Ho is familiar with this name, recalling the Elder Neva dropping it in conversation when she told him that the only person who could wield the power of the jewel was the high priest. Just from his presence alone, Kong Ho can sense that this man's whole body is brimming with the energy of the eternal crest, as it's fully embedded into his chest. Not only that, the same guy has absolute mastery over the power of the crystal, maintaining balance in the Mu continent. Without a doubt, the man standing before him right now isn't just a high priest. He's the classification of an absolute being. Nergan sets our guy down, inquiring if the young man will entertain a cup of tea. They cozy up sitting across from each other, and the high priest learns that Kong Ho came from Earth, a new dimension with a new white Fong subspecies inhabiting. The most impressive part to Nergan is how the fox, who is considered a cautious and fragile creature to druids, remains comfortable with Kong Ho as her partner. Even our guy admits that he considers it an honor. Nergan gets to the serious stuff and hints that an anomaly is headed their way. The owner of the special heart came to the continent alongside his white Fong companion, hinting to Nergan that it's just the start of the anomaly. Our guy denies it, which confirms to the priest that he's afraid of the power in his heart. Kong Ho confirms that he fears and rejects it, knowing that anyone who ever dared to awaken such a power ended up fully consumed by it. Jin Suk was one such case. The same goes for Kong Taeyong, his brother, and if the same happened to our guy, it's going to threaten the lives of everyone living on Earth. Bro doesn't want to become an Avengers-level threat, so he's nerfing himself. Nergan explains that if he's afraid of something like that, then it will become his fate to never be able to overcome it. Curious, Kong Ho seeks wisdom from the high priest on how he controlled the power of the crystal. Nergan shares that he never desired to control, only to accept the nature of life. But that same ideal may not work for the human, and though unfortunately he wants to continue their conversation, Nurgan states they're running low on time. Just 50 years back, the dungeonization of the dimensions began. The Mu continent experienced a total imbalance and collapse alongside the druids. Looking at Kong Ho makes him remember a specific child, one that wielded the power to inspire others with her smile. The child is shared to be Neva, the little girl. That name catches our boy off guard as he points to Neva standing just up there on the other side of the dimensional gate. Nurgan is starstruck, realizing that the same child must have grown into an old person by now. He wonders if she can see him through the portal. Kong Ho assures him that they're both looking at each other right now. Neva is weeping in sadness from the other side. And while our boy is floating away to leave, the high priest leaves a message for Neva that he'll always wait for her in the forest, no matter how long it takes her to come. Hearing that, Kong Ho exits the gate from the same portal, welcomed back by the elder druid. Neva asks about the state of her homeland and if he met a nice person down there. She doesn't seem to have any clue about the person he met. Kong Ho surprises her by praising the continent and sharing a photo he took on his phone. She quickly checks the footage and sees the shocked reaction of Nurgan exactly when he was relaying the message. Our guy managed to record it safely, and for the first time ever, our boy used his modern technology in a smart manner. Nurgan's other message is for Neva to continue striving to be strong, and that he never forgot about her for even a moment. In front of him, she's just the same little girl who weeps hearing those gentle words. Kong Ho hands her the phone to keep rewatching the footage whenever she feels lost about her people. While this may seem like a bittersweet ending, our boy is also haunted by certain words of the high priest after he had finished recording. The Absolute One warned him of the gathering of the crystals on Earth, which meant they'd meet again soon, and that he must stay strong until then. This message implies the arrival of a stronger threat, indicating that the demons are coming for Earth once more. Kong Ho's footage from the dungeon played all around the world. Thanks to this, the guilds of humanity came further in establishing new changes. Cholb is most horrified by how active the demons have got. The changes are too fast to chalk it off as harmless. He begs his idiot warriors to train harder so that they can save people when it's truly needed. The top 3 White Knight Guild is doing the same, training rigorously. Even the Sword God reviews the footage, realizing that war is to come for humanity once more. He readies his students to train hellishly, so they may be ready for everything that comes their way. The best lesson that humanity learned from the Daybreak Great War is that once the world is destroyed, power and money are futile. That same lesson was forgotten over time when humanity became comfortable again, until Kong Ho's recent raid. All thanks to him, mankind prepares itself once more. But while most are rooting in support for the Beast King, one man speaks his hate towards the old man who is a nuisance in their world. The fact that Kong Ho managed to snatch King over to his side to the point of terminating his contract pisses him off 10 times more. The guy doing the shit talk is the second strongest man in Korea, Robbie. The Vice Guild Master expresses his objections that messing with Kong Ho didn't seem ideal. But Robigan is fuming over losing King, berating the Vice Guild Master for failing direct orders. His anger forces his subordinate to apologize and worry. They engage with their next subject concerning the thief fan. Ghost is still on the lookout to find her. Nothing is going Rogan's way. The big boss orders Ghost to return with the jewel, no matter the cost, as they can recover all that money later. Rogan's interested in adopting a different approach, still focusing on retrieving the jewel that their guild lost.